G'day, we're with Inforunners. I'm Execute, joined this morning by Algared. How you doing, mate?
I'm fairly good. Can't complain.
About 1 minute early. I thought we'd be
Yep.
punctual for a change.
Radical concept.
Yes. I need to flick this over so we can see what people say. Whoa, there's a heap of people there. Wow. Okay, there's a lot of people in there. Did not see that many people. I was not expecting that.
Yep, it's jumped up to 21.
Cool. Well, it'll keep going as we
Yep, it will.
get into it. Right. So this week we obviously had some leak stuff drop, which was kind of interesting.
Yeah, indeed.
We've obviously got Eva Cardi popping in and out really quickly. They're doing really short 4-hour type of things. And I've missed the first one. And yeah, it is very late in the UK right now. I think it's like 10 p.m. What time is it, Spike? Spike's on.
It would be getting close to. It's let's see. It's about 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock. Holy shit!
So at 7:42, it was 10:45.
Because we've technically had daylight savings, so what we were thinking about doing was like, because normally when that happens, we get up an hour earlier, and we thought, oh, we'll just test the water and see if we can get up at 8, because we like getting up early. It sucks.
Yeah. For some strange reason, we like having a little bit of a sleep in on a Saturday.
Yeah. So
a little bit of sleep in. That means we get up at what, 6 instead of 4.
Yeah. Well, no. We're getting up at
okay, for you it's 10:02.
Well, no, it's well, you get up earlier, but I like, so we start at 8. I get up at like 7:45 usually. I usually just get out, make a cup of tea, and then come back, get dressed, and then get on and talk to you, and then we do an audio test and we just go. That's just how I am.
Yeah. I, on the other hand, have to get up, a couple of hours beforehand, get the motor running,
put on his lipstick,
like the old grip starts.
Put the slippers away, pack away the uwu girls, put the Hugh Hefner jacket back in the closet, that type of thing. I get it.
Well, the smoking jacket has to go away, It's just what you do.
Yeah. So I did follow up on the video we did, and I talked to some people at CIG, and I quote, "I don't expect the Paladin at Invictus," was what I was told. And that kind of lines up with what you and I were saying. Like, usually when there's two things that kind of prove that it couldn't happen, you start to be on over a bit of a pattern there.
I cannot get over the fact that, yes, the Paladin is appearing in the files. It could be anything. But I know that I've seen, CIG do flights where they had literally white boxes.
Yeah.
And that was a flyable ship in the making. It was flyable.
Well, I think the other thing is, if you think about it, and I said this to you, when you say made the Valkyrie, you'd start at the bottom and essentially work your way up. If you're making the Paladin, you'd essentially copy the Valkyrie over and you'd copy the Valkyrie over and rename it to be Paladin, and then so it would already be flyable, and you'd be kind of working down to the Paladin, like you essentially recrafting it around, and so it already have its flight mechanics and all that type of thing already. Like it's not that different, so you could work, you'd almost be working in the opposite direction. So it just saves you so much to do it that way. So I just imagine that's what they're finding is stuff that's just a copy paste of the Valkyrie.
And in terms of Invictus, there's so many things where you could have the Valkyrie in the files for Invictus, and yet not the Valkyrie, the Paladin in the files for Invictus. And it still not mean it's flyable. You could have it as just a hollow viewer. You could have it as a static model. You could have it as a tool model. So many options. And
I think we'd also add to that like there's so many things that they're probably missing. Like there's other ships and stuff like that. And think about when we go back to AIE and stuff, there were things that were telling us that there was certain ships there, and then there were nothing like that on release day. Like there was there's 2 hologram models of this ship and stuff like that, and it turned out to be just one at the end and stuff like that. So they are constantly updating those things right up into the very last minute. Thank you for the sub, Arcane Danger on Twitch there. Appreciate it.
Yeah, always appreciated that.
14 months. Okay, wow, long time. Thank you.
Oh, okay. We love those. Never expected, never required, but gee whiz, they give us a warm fuzzy. But yeah, like I find with Invictus, there's the things they say and bring out, and the stuff that CIG keep hidden. So you just go by, you can only go by what they've said. And I saw comments on our video. So, oh, what about this shit? What about that shit? What about this? We were only looking at what was said in the leaks. We weren't even speculating on anything else. We were just looking at what
literally in the title, isn't it? Leaks and speculation.
You know, so
and once it's public knowledge like that, we don't mind talking about it because there's obviously Evocati NDAs that Algared and I are under and stuff like that. But once they're public knowledge, you can talk about them. So we feel comfortable doing that now. But if CIG asked us not to talk about something, I think we would respect their wishes. But we that we've been told that you can talk about leaks once they're essentially public. Well, once they're leaked.
Yeah.
All right, the bot is up. There are no questions, Algared, so we can go to bed. We can go back to
All right, that's it. So,
yeah, cool. That was quick.
Well, I will say,
quick.
I do have to things. I'm going to take a break for the next 2 weeks. I'm gallivanting around Sydney, doing touristy things. Gallivanting, yeah.
Anyone can read Balloon's line. He's touristing in his own city. Things. Does anyone else know what he's actually doing? I'm not going to dob him in, but it's really damn obvious to anyone.
And boy, has it got hot in here?
Yeah, real hot. Yeah, real hot.
But what that means is it does look like Paul will be filling in for me for one of the weeks. So if you have law questions, next week or the following week will be the week to actually get those law questions and ask them. And Paul, being one of the preeminent gurus of law, will be the guy to...
I haven't done a stream with Paul in a really long time. It's been a really long time. So it'd be cool for me and him just to kind of let our hair down. It'd be kind of cool. And then I can raid off to him as well afterwards.
Well, the fact that Paul will be, when he's there, will not be running the show, it will give him that chance to let his creative juices flow and all the rest of it. So get your questions ready for Paul. Be not outlandish, silly. Why doesn't this ship come now?
Okay, there are no questions. There are literally no questions. I just tested to make sure the bot is working. It is working. Why is there no questions? It's very strange. Maybe we're gonna have to go back to playing the game. That'd be awkward, wouldn't it?
Oh, that was scary because I'll stop. You know what happens when we start playing the game and someone asks a question.
Yeah. So please, guys, get some questions if you've got one. Tell us your thoughts about the leaks that came out as an example. What do you think of the stuff that's coming as well? Like, I know Algared's really excited for the Gilly quest and stuff like that. Or maybe we can go over it real briefly again then. So I'll open it.
Yeah, I did like seeing the Gilly quest were coming back. I did like, that was. I did like the way that was a tutorial first off, and he met you in the old industrial hangar and talked to you and then got you in your ship and went through those and then launched on, okay, follow me around. And it was just a really nice way of teaching flight mechanics.
Shane Haggis on YouTube has just said, spill the Merchantman news. Are you serious? You didn't get the joke?
Yeah.
I'll go back to it for the slow people in the audience. The first Banu merchant is in the game. There he is, right there. He's a male and he's a merchant, right there.
Oh, that merchantman. There you go. So,
play on words.
He could argue that he's not. He could argue that he's not because he's only a hologram. There you
go. What about when he appears on the little? Well, I guess you're seeing him on the TV or whatever. But yeah. So yeah. Right. You're going to have to keep an eye on questions, Algared, because I cannot.
Yep, I'm keeping an eye on the questions. The questions are still blankety blanks.
Right. So we'll just go through some of this until we get some questions. Let me know when you get some questions and we can think off.
Yep.
So there was new Wicklow stuff as well. So they're definitely expanding this. From the people I've talked to, Wicklow is very much here to stay. So I think what's going to happen, and I don't know if you agree with this, Algared, but it won't just be the PvP events. It'll be other ways you can get things for Wicklow. And that obviously right now we've got a PvP event, but I reckon they're going to add other events or other ways you can get things to buy stuff from Wicklow. It won't just be that. And I think he's probably going to be the mission giver for this year, so to speak, or the next considerable while.
Oh, I think the fact that you've got Wicklow trading posts in Stanton, is an indication of the fact that they want him to be there. It's almost like Wicklow's a trading emporium.
Yeah.
And he's just the face of the trading group.
Yeah,
but the fact that there's centres all over the place does seem to indicate, or hope, there will be different ways or different means of doing trade with him.
Yeah. Well, I hope we actually get to see him in the flesh, like eventually, so to speak. So maybe there's a mission chain and he actually shows you where he actually is.
When he hands over Tessa.
Yeah, well, that too. So yeah, we'll go back over these real quick. So essentially the Starlight's attack, I think that's a real given considering this was leaked as well. If I can find this real quick. I don't think you can really dispute that. That is very much, I don't know how you could fight that, unless it's a really good Photoshop job, which it could be. But that really does line up with the posters that we've kind of seen in the past. They fit those panels. We know they're all standardized models now, so essentially the banners are all the same size. That kind of lines up, and even ones like this, we know that they can put them on the holograms and put transparency effects on them, so that all lines up too. So yeah, there's nothing that I see here that I wouldn't believe on face value. Also, you can always take it with this is a fake bullshit, but I don't think that that's the case. I have not had a chance to go through and listen to all these audio lines. I don't tend to like to listen to audio lines because it tends to give away story and stuff. I don't mind keeping that for a bit of a surprise. So yeah, that's the Starlance attack. Starlancer build. Now we had a few people saying, why would they put that out? And my response to them straight away was money. If you can put a ship out and let people look at it, it may encourage them to buy it. When it does finally arrive. And we've seen that with the Polaris, we've seen it with the Redeemer. I don't know, I don't want to guarantee this, but I think you'd agree with me, the exterior of the Perseus may be likely at Invictus, right? I wouldn't say it's coming as in the whole ship, but the exterior, just like the Polaris, because that again, that sets you up and goes, oh, I'm kind of excited for that ship. It builds a bit of hype, and you may want to buy it when it comes out at the end of the year type of thing.
Yeah, just messaging someone. So.
Oh yeah, I could tell.
Oh yeah,
he's just saying, I'm in so much trouble. I am a dead man. Yeah. Anyway, right. Flyable Anvil Paladin that they put here as well. We can pretty much dismiss that now. I wouldn't rule out that it's something to do with the Anvil Paladin being constructed, or possible another Valkyrie variant or something like that. But I think we can safely say it's not coming. It makes a lot of sense. Mirror Guardian
seems logical to me, but it's not.
Yeah, Mirror Guardian MX. I did have it open up here. There we go. So I think we can now kind of safely say that this is the Mirror Guardian MX. And as we stated in the video, hang on, if I go to the browser, I can use my mouse pointer. These two little pips over here really give away that it's not a regular Guardian. There are nowhere pips like that at all on the current two Guardians that we do have. And if you kind of think about it, if you look at Grimstream, I wonder if Grim would mind if I open it up real quick. Give me a second. We'll do it live as we do, because he can do it better than anyone I've talked to. Shit, which one was it? I can't remember.
I don't know.
It was one of these ones. Hang on. Remember? Oh well, I was on the stream. I don't remember the thumbnail for it though. Might have been this one. No, it was not this one. Shit, it was a live episode. That's right. That's upcoming. That was that one. That was that one. It's this one. Damn it, sorry. God, he streams so much. So yeah, that's it right there. So yeah, shout out to Grim for setting this up. But I was on there with him and Emdo, as you can see, my voice. And he VMX mode very quickly went and ripped the torpedo. This is a size 10 torpedo, so the same size as the Polaris. And I feel like I'm sitting in front of him. I've got to move out of the way a bit. But he essentially put that in there, and as soon as he put it in there, I went, oh, it's a hot dog, because you kind of got like the two nacelles that are like the buns, and so then we started calling it the Guardian Double Dog. But after a while, we realized as I said, the little pips on
I
the back
ripped
there.
off I'd feel ripped off if I got a hot dog and the dog was that small. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. But most people, when you say size 10 torpedo, they just assume it wouldn't fit. They think that's this massive big thing, but that changes it quite a bit. And again, as they're saying over here on here, they're saying you can see it right here. It says heavy audience. Heavy. I always say audience, but it's ordnance. Does not come out of my Australian accents very well. But yeah, heavy ordnance. That implies to me, and both the I've talked to multiple military people now, and even yourself, Algared, have said, as missiles get bigger, they just become torpedoes, and that is exactly what the military people said. So when it implies heavy ordnance, it literally, they assume if it's a missile variant and it's heavy ordnance, that it's actually torpedoes. And then the fact that you look at the very next paragraph and you have all these torpedoes coming, it's not hop and skip and a jump to connect some dots. They're on the same page. And I just think the other piece of evidence it is literally, I need to flick it back, but is that I just think once you realize that it's about a third the length of the ship, and you can see that it'll fit on that outside wing, and when you realize all the nacelles, and that those nacelles are just duplicated 4 times, it's really strong evidence. And I think the other big one that you and I talked about is so much like the Harbinger, you wouldn't want to do the same size torpedoes as they'll just tread on each other, wouldn't you? The Guardian's thing seems to be upgunned a bit over other variants, like it's got 2 size 5s instead of 1 on the Valkyrie. Not the Valkyrie, the Vanguard. So I think that kind of lines up. And knowing what the Fury MX is, I think that's kind of what this is going to be. It's just going to have 8 size 10 torpedoes. That makes sense to me. I don't know if it does to you, but I'll let you.
I personally would hope it doesn't have 8 size 10 torpedoes, mainly because if it's got that, then it's actually treading on the Retaliator rather than anything else, because Retaliator's got 6 size 8s.
Yep.
And it's a multi-crew ship, where this is a smaller ship, 1 person. So it tromps all over the Eclipse, although with the Eclipse you can say, well, that's because the Eclipse is stealth.
Yeah.
So you've got that balance, but to go 8 size 10 when the Retaliator's only got 6 size 8s, that would say you either want to up the size of torpedoes and Retaliator, or limit this to say maybe 3 or 4 size 10. So you'd want to try and get that balance. But that's just me. CIG can do whatever they like, and they probably will at some point.
So we've got a first time shadow there on Twitch that says Mind Warp 3D, and he says size 12. Damn. Well, these are size 10. You are not wrong in the return of size 12s, because I think we may see ships that go those as well. Like when you start to lay this all out, and you look at the we have 4 bombers that essentially do size 5s. And now you've got size 10s and you've got size 12s. Do the math. Like, it really pans out. Could we see, like, I don't even know how to picture it out, but can you imagine a ship that just has 2 size 12s, like an Eclipse 2, and it just has 2, that's all it's got is 2 size 12s and nothing else. So I think you can kind of see, like we've kind of talked about before, that there is still room in the combat space, but essentially filling out that grid. You can see that that they've talked about many times. We've still got a lot of ships to go. And I think, just lastly, some of the changes they've made, I think they've even made it so they can have even more. Much like how they removed the underground mining for the Prospector, as an example. So they've split mining into underground and on surface.
Yeah, look, you look at, as you said, you look at the number of bombers we've got, actual gravity bombers. We've got 3 or 4 of them. We've got torpedo bombers, but the largest size on our torpedo bombers are size 9s. Once you go into the ones that've got size 10, size 12, you're looking at Polaris, Idris. You're looking at the larger ships, and so there is space for a ship that's in the middle that does 1 or 2 of those larger missiles. So for me, it just fits. But as I said, I would hope they don't give it too many, because once you give it as many or more than Tali's size 8s, I think you've got a major problem, just in balance. And so if I were doing that, then I'd hope that the Tally would be able to upsize its missiles, or
Mm.
the Eclipse could upsize its missiles, take less but have a bigger missile. So they're the
Yeah.
types of
Well,
things
that's
I'd like to see, but
well, that's what I would prefer too. But like,
Mm.
I question whether they're going to do that, because a simple thing about the Eclipse, right, is
Mm.
size 5 torpedoes are a lot shorter than, say, even size 10.
Yeah.
So when you do that, you can't just chuck them in an Eclipse. The
Yeah.
Eclipse was literally built around size 5 torpedoes. If you sit on the keyboard, we're not going to be friends anymore.
I thought the Eclipse was on size 8.
I would have to go check, but
Retaliator.
Semantics. You get my point, right? They become longer.
They're still longer than.
I can't remember what it is. I think you are right at size 8s, but my point still stands. They were built around those, so as soon as you make it longer, the whole ship has to change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when it's an internal torpedo bay.
Yes.
But yeah.
Right. We've got 4 questions. Wow.
We do have 4 questions.
Must be the British people that write all the questions, not the USA people. Because
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I'm surprised you guys haven't got questions. This is an awkward first, where we've got very few questions. But anyway,
That's
size
okay.
9. Okay, so the size 9 should not be trip. Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Point noted. But my point wasn't. I'm not always correct when it comes to stats. That is actually Algared's department. He's a lot better at than I.
I wouldn't say I'm the master at it, but I do kind of remember. Some of those things more, especially when it's something that's impacted something I'm interested in.
For me, it's always been gameplay, so I just don't care about the stats, because I know the stats are going to change, and I think you can say now over the last 10 years we've been doing this, they change quite a bit.
Yeah, they always change.
Yeah,
but it's things like the size of the weapons, and yes, you can change the sizes, like you can upsize the guns, but it's harder to, as you were saying and point out, it's harder to upsize the missiles if they're internally stored. So,
yeah,
case in point, almost impossible to upsize the missiles on a Gladiator, because the torpedo bay's an internal bay. So if you want larger missiles, you've got to have a new ship. So you bring up the Eclipse. It's it just makes obvious sense. Anyway, Stimpack has a question to change our topic slightly. And Stimpack says, we have not had.
Hang on, just real quick before you read Stimpack's.
Okay.
Dirty Gundam says, I'm late to the party and I don't know what you've answered. Just as whatever question you want to your question. So just ask anything you would like. All right. Sorry, Algared, go ahead.
We've talked a little bit about the leaks. We've talked a little bit about torpedoes and torpedo sizes and ships, and that's about it. And we haven't answered. We were literally about to do the first question on our board. So yeah. So Stimpack's question was, we have not had many low-price CCUs lately for upgrading ships. Do you think that may change?
Oh, that's no, I don't think it will. I think they've refined the system and learned as they've gone, and they've reduced those savings across the board. They used to be 30%, then they went to 25. Now they're roughly around 20. I think they've got them to where they want them to be. They probably want them to roughly be in line with packs. I would think you'd agree with that, Algared. But yeah, I don't see them going back up. Maybe some one-offs, which we have seen as well, when they want to try and encourage you to go into a particular ship. I don't know. I kind of think back on that, Algared. Like when something's not doing well, they tend to pop it up a little bit, like the Nocturne skin for the oh god, it's right on the tip of my tongue. Crusader Starter, Intrepid. Last year, like that came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And they know
like the buffing of the
well, they know people like black skins. So, you know what I mean? Like they don't tend to just give black skins away for free. They usually charge money for them. So yeah.
But it's like the way they update the packs of the new ships. Increase the UEC, increase the increase all of those things, give it a massive discount. They're the types of things you'll often see if they're trying to prop something up, or they want want you to move in that direction. So,
yeah. So the Samuel I.Y in YouTube chat is saying, as a lover of SC and Squadron 42, until CIG said 5-star systems by 2026. There's two parts of that I think I don't know if you're missing or you're just don't know. So I'm going to go over it really quickly. When the game was originally pitched, the star systems didn't have a lot of landing zones. They didn't have a lot of depth. Like, for example, you flew up to a planet and it took you down a tunnel to land on planets. Now we can actually fly anywhere we want and land, right? So that was the 100 systems. And what I'll tell you is go look at a game called Freelancer. That's essentially what they were trying to make back then. So if you go from the level of Freelancer just to the level we have right now, the amount of work is astronomical, right? So when you turn around and make 5 systems, that's way more work than 100 systems would have been in what they had originally promised. And that's why we're going to have 5 systems. I have no doubt we will get to 100, but it might take 5-10 years. I don't know. Right? But I think you would agree with me, Algared. Remember Dyson that used to be on Inforunners with us? I talked to him a little while ago, and he actually said, I'm actually really impressed that it's no longer going to be this shallow puddle. It's now looking really deep. And that's his words.
He was 100 systems, but really shallow. And, you know, and I know that was something we said, no, it's not going to be like that. But it was a legitimate concern. I thought, but it's nice to see. Yes, it is going to be deep as an ocean, and I think that just seeing the addition of things like Wicklow to Stanton shows that they're not just going to leave those systems as they are. They're going to keep adding points of interest or other things to them. But you're right. The even when it was 100 systems, you know, it's still going to get 100 systems. But back in the day, it was going to be, you know, the systems were going to be a lot less content. One landing zone per planet, or you know, one major point of interest. So Area 18 would have been the only place on Upcorp, maybe somewhere else, you know. But now you can fly anywhere. You can land on other buildings and do stuff. So some really big changes and depth. Pyro was certainly not going to be as detailed or in depth or built out as it is.
Well, the lore of that was it was essentially a wasteland because they had this pulsar neutron type of star that just killed everything. That's no longer the case anymore.
And the star is still there doing that, and it's still having that impact, but they've flushed it out, and it's not as
was it the same reason why Stanton was picked? It was one of the few solar systems in the entire game that had multiple landing zones, and that's changed now. Like most of them, look at the ones that are even Pyro, like Ruin Station, but you've now got predominant stations all around that place. Ruin Station is probably not even the big. I'd say Checkmate's become the big one now, not even Ruin. And so it's totally changed how that kind of works. So good. But yeah, I think we're going to see more of that going forward. Like, and I think even if you look at Nyx, Algared, you would agree with me from what we saw at CitizenCon, Nyx is radically different from what it was. It was meant to be this planetoid, and now it's almost more like an asteroid base that's through some kind of drilled asteroid. They're going back and dialing up the detail across the board. And I don't know about you, but I'd rather have 5 systems that are really deep than, and I'm just going to call it like I said, than Elite Dangerous, where you have all these systems and they're just essentially copy pasted space for space's sake, right? I want things to explore, things to go into and find. I don't want to just go, oh, this is exactly the same as that planet, but it's blue instead of green. Like, I'm not interested in that.
And I don't want, like I thought, you go Elite Dangerous, I go No Man's Sky. You go to No Man's Sky, and it was, you had your procedural generated stuff, but it's a new animal, but it looks exactly the same, or it's got a different color, it's a different horn.
To be fair to No Man's Sky, I think it's got a lot better though as time's gone on. I think ED almost sounds like they've given up.
I'm not bagging them in Sky. And they've done a lot to really build out the things they had promised and everything else.
To the people that are getting mad about the clickbait title, it was meant to be a joke. It's actually quite funny. Most people laughed. We had people calling us out on Twitter saying it was quite funny. I didn't do it as clickbait. And again, clickbait does actually work, no matter how much you say it doesn't. But I didn't do it as clickbait. I did it as a joke.
No, we did it as a joke. We both we saw it and we went, yeah, that's it. That's it just made so much sense, and X showed me, and I chuckled. I thought, oh, yeah, that's classic.
Yeah, I haven't heard him laugh that hard in a while. Anyway, yeah.
So we weren't trying to be
to those
today.
So Wolf Blitzer saying, nah, ED just released a new ship. Wolf Blitzer, I'll put the question to you then, mate. Do you want it to be like ED, or do you want it to be deeper? Being an ED player, in all honesty, do you want more depth? And I'll put that to you. Would you rather have 5 systems that are incredibly deep, or would you rather have 100 systems that are like ED and fairly shallow? And I think it's really obvious what the answer is, because one takes a shit ton more work than the other. And that's why you've always got those multiple duplicated systems in other games. Even Freelancer, which is the game that this was initially going to be based on, which is one of Chris's older games, that was very shallow. So, and
when you look at
it's all good with
Tyson's original thought of wide systems but very shallow, you could see that sense based on what he'd seen in previous games and games even by Chris, that yes, there'll be a wide system, there'll be lots to see in the system, but in terms of what you can do on the system, that was a concern. But I think we're seeing that change. And you look at the original landing. I think I said it before, but the original landing that we saw for Area 18, as you said, you came in, you called air traffic control, it took over your ship, it flew you down automatically. You could still walk around your ship, so you didn't get the loading screen, the stop pause game while it loaded.
Yeah.
But then it landed you at a set zone, and then you got out and did stuff, and it's a lot different from that.
Yeah.
But
there's what was it? What do you remember the year? The one with the Connie that flies in ArcCorp. You obviously know the video I'm talking about. I just can't remember the year. If someone in chat can get us the year, or send me a link via Discord or whatever, and we'll just share it so people can go see what we're talking about, and you can literally see what the original plan was. It would have been like 2015, 2014.
2015.
That long ago.
2015.
Yeah, and it just shows this Connie essentially flying into the social module, which is what it was called back then, of ArcCorp, which now that side of ArcCorp doesn't exist anymore. They've removed it. Think about it. And then you'd walk through the things and you'd get into the little plaza, right? So it's kind of one of the first times we saw the plaza. But yeah, if someone can remember or even find the video, I will happily link it and share with you, because I think that would again, to the person's Samuel's question, it just shows you that the game has completely changed and moved in a different direction. So sometimes when you hear a promise that was from 10 years ago, it doesn't line up with where it is, because they haven't changed. Well, it sounds like they've lied, but really things have changed so that much you're actually getting more than what they said.
In terms of the 100 systems, the game will still have 100 systems. That is still a goal.
Yeah.
But I know from 10th of the chairman back in 2014, 2015, Chris said he envisaged that when the game went live, when it was considered, launched, there would be 5 systems. And that's why lore buffs like myself and Paul developed the talk of the line of 5. So we knew we had Stanton. We assumed that Odin would be the system used, because that was where is it Odin?
Odin is correct. If you're talking about where Squadron 42 takes place.
Yeah, the Squadron 42 was taking place. So we went, okay, and we know Nyx, because that was one they'd promised. And so based on Stanton, Nyx, and then, Stanton and Pyro, because they'd said that was next. And then we were thinking, okay, we've got Nyx. So we tried to work out what would be the 5 systems, what 5 systems would make sense in that, in what we got, where they'd line up and with jump points and all the rest of it. And then you had outliers like Lear, where they'd done a lot of work on Lear, but it was nowhere near anything. And so that became the whole argument of would they do Terra? And we always thought, no, they wouldn't do Terra first because it was so detailed and so settled and so big. And so we drifted away from that and looked at other systems. And yet it was CitizenCon last year where CIG came out and said the line of 5 and actually filled in what those first 5 systems were going to be.
So thank to Zakti for sending this to me. So this is the old Star Citizen. It goes for 10 minutes, so I'm not going to watch all of it, but I am going to skip it forward. So it flies through space a lot. This is showing a lot of the Connie off because the Connie was just coming in. But essentially, like, I'm going to go back a little bit. So this is flying into a planet for the first time. So you'd go into a cinematic, and then you wouldn't actually fly through the clouds or anything like that. And you'd then just kind of appear in atmosphere like this. And then you would essentially fly down to the planet. I am going to skip it forward just a little bit because it does take a little while. But essentially, as you can see, it's a series of cinematics and flying down to the atmosphere and going through tunnels. It was not what we have now. That is a massive dramatic difference. And like back here, nobody had the ability to fly down to planets like that. And I would also challenge that there is not many No Man's Sky is probably the only other one that's kind of even come close, and it's nowhere near as detailed as SC, not by a country mile. But at least they tried, But yeah, you can see here.
And the landing pad you had was right in front of the area where
as I said, and that area doesn't exist anymore. They got rid of it. But yeah, you're going to come into land here, and I'm just going to cut through. And you can see how it's aged too. Like a lot of this doesn't look quite the same as it used to. Oh, do you remember when it had the use button? I just saw that on the screen. That's taking me back. So yeah, you walk in here, and you can see how bad this is running on a computer even back then, right? So they're going to walk through.
You remember you used to be able to glitch through those doors and get out to that Connie? Because when it was actually in, you used to be able to get down and that Connie would be sitting up there. And you used to be able to glitch out through the doors.
Yeah, you used to be able to come back through here and look out this way, but not get out to where the Connie was. But now it doesn't exist anymore. They've just completely removed it. So yeah, you eventually get through after a scan, and this you guys would all kind of recognize. And that's what it looked like back in the day, and it don't look like that anymore. Even that's been changed now. So it just shows you how much the game has changed. And again, it's me and Algared only know this because we've been here for the whole thing. And I think that happens a lot. Like I see a lot of content creators come along. Like there was saw a video this week. I'm not going to call out the guy, but I saw a new, relatively new content creator, and he was he didn't know what the Morrow tool was. He had no clue. Right? Absolutely none. Now, to me and you, that like makes me my ears and your ears pick up. And he had no clue.
It's like talking about Tessa Bannister.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Type of knowledge. Like the talkative.
Not to mention, look how old this video is. It's only got 2.5k likes. Like that's how small the game was back then.
Yeah, and that was
crazy.
That was like a Gamescom or a CitizenCon main release. Hey, this is going down to the social module to the planets, and that was the first view we got. I think was that also where he walked out and said and pointed to the red smudge in the sky and said, "And that's Pyro, and that's where we'll be going next."
I can't remember, man.
But it was that type of thing. So we're talking, long term. We're talking. And that's why we knew, okay, Stanton and Empire, because it released that type of information really early on.
So yeah. So don't just dismiss someone when they essentially say stuff. Fill them in. Tell them why. Tell them why they're wrong. Just don't shoot them down. Show them and educate them. Like one of the things I saw, as we all would have known, we hit 800 million, right, in funding, and we all knew they were coming. All these articles come out going, 18 million of funding. And there was one that was done by a guy that I've seen a lot of his posts on Twitter, and I kind of respected him as one of those people, but everything he said was misleading. He said, I don't know how if you call this misleading, right? But we now know the game's coming in 2026, right? Now, would you call that a date or not? Because he literally said 800 million in funding and still no date in sight. Well, isn't that a lie? Because the date is literally the 31st of December
I can see where it's
2026.
coming from.
Yeah, I can, but
I'd still say.
it's misleading as hell because to him he wants a fixed day, and I can kind of see that. But if they're saying 2026, that's a date. You know, in the global scheme of how time works, 1 year is not a long period of time.
And in terms of a set date, like, you know, January 31st or October 31st or whatever it is, that's what you do when you're actually, you know, if you're doing the old store releases, that'd be when you've got your boxes ready and you're shipping them out. So yeah, it's different. I did see that Wolf Blitzer says, you know, I've mixed feelings about this, never having backed a project from such simple beginnings. But even that wasn't simple beginnings. That was you know, stretching the technology as far as it could be done at the time.
So
it really took the Frankfurt mob coming on board and doing People to Planet, and that changed the whole world. That changed everything.
Yeah, so a few people are talking about the scale and detail of SC and Scrotum 42, like Zakidi's saying there, best thing I've heard, and he's adding Zeta. He says the whole galaxy of Elite Dangerous content could fit into Stanton itself. And I believe that to be true. The other one I remember was back when they did, they were showing off Delimar as one of the, and that's the Nyx landing zone that's been taken out and it'll obviously come back in Nyx. Was they showed off Chris Roberts basically goes, see this crater? That crater is so big you could fit the entirety of The Witcher 3 in that crater. And it's just like, and there's nothing in that crater, right? But you can go down and the detail is there. And, you know, we didn't have creatures back then. We still don't have a lot of creatures, but we didn't have trees and fauna. Like, we're going to get fires. You saw all the jungle and stuff. Me and Algared have been theorizing this for years. Jungles. We're going to, like, every type of, like, this is the other crazy thing, Algared. We haven't even got onto alien trees yet or alien fauna. Like, and flower and fauna. But you get what I'm going to.
Yeah, I know. And it's one of the things that I am looking forward to seeing that type of stuff.
And
yeah,
yeah, like when we did that science episode, you can see just where they can take flower and fauna now, and it's a great. It sounds like it's going to be an ever-evolving repertoire of animals and flowers and all that type of shit and plants. So yeah, I'm really excited to see where that goes after that episode we did with Morph. That really changed what I thought of science. It was, and I call them epiphanies, right? But we don't get a lot of epiphany episodes, but that was a big one for me because I'd never really clicked about what science could be. And that just, highly recommend that episode. We did it recently with Morph. It'll be in the thing.
Now, Lena Maria in YouTube says, seamlessly going from space to atmosphere, slow development to a crawl. CRG has not proven it can work in a game until they prove it can. I disagree with that. I actually think CIG have proven that going seamlessly works.
I think it's really immersion. Like, imagine what it's going to be like with fighting and stuff. I think the first time I kind of, not that I realized, because me and Algared talked about this, and then they did it. Remember the Citizen Con with the caterpillar in the box?
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about that, and then it literally happens in a video, and we're like, that's amazing. You know, I've talked about many times like the Enterprise crashing in one of the newer movies, and like being able to, like, you can imagine an episode of Squadron 42, you're playing and you've got to rescue people off the ship and then eventually get to an escape pod and get out before the ship crashes into the ground. You can't do that shit in current games. It's all scripted and fake, and they could literally just do it now because they've got the engine to do that. And not only that, you could do it in a multiplayer mission.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine the co-op where all four of you got to work together. You're on a prison ship. We've all been arrested for smuggling whatever, and we've got to do a mission to get out of there before the whole space station crashes to the ground or whatever. Like, you can see them; they're going amazing.
Hellion did something similar. When you started, you woke up from Cairo, and your ship was basically falling out of the sky, and you had to get off before the ship destroyed, and then you had to basically get all the bits and pieces to make your ship flyable and give it the range it needed. I do get Lena Maria's concern. It did slow the development.
Yes, it
But
did a lot.
It slowed development because when the Frankfurt team said, hey, this is what we're doing, Chris was like, that's where I wanted to go, but I didn't think we'd get there until 5 years' time.
And it's like, do we make this whole game and then make a Star Citizen 2? No, let's just make Star Citizen and go. And that actually happened 3 times. You had the original kind of pitch of the game before Kickstarter, and then they get to $21 million, and they had all those stretch goals go off, and it expanded the game then. And then, as you said, people would plan it and expand it again. So it's happened 3 times. The game has essentially restarted development 3 times.
Yeah, well, I tend to think, the first time you're looking at it, it was proof of concept to a big publisher that they could do it. And that was kind of been doing things that the big publisher wanted. And I have a feeling that as they were changing, or as things were going on, and the publisher was saying, oh, well, you need this and this, you could almost see Chris cringing as that, no, it needs to be this way. And it just makes sense. And when Sandy says, look, why don't you go alone? You've got the Kickstarter, you've proved it. So people will come along with you. And that means you're not beholden to the publisher who's telling you how to do it. But that was a major shift in the development process. So yes, it has taken a long time. But Chris always basically said, I want to push the technology as far as it can go.
Yeah.
And I knew when I came on board with this game, I didn't know exactly how far it'd go, but I knew if Chris had said, I want to do this is where I'm aiming, he would either achieve it or it would be because the tech wouldn't let him.
I think you can look at it all like that, and I don't disagree with everything you've said there, but I think the simplest way to look at this is it started out small and it grew. And like all best laid plans, when you have more money comes in, the plans change. Yeah. It's just that simple.
Like as Chris said,
if I gave you $100 and told you to buy me a present, you'd buy me a present. If I gave you $5,000 and told me to buy me a present, you'd buy me a present. But the present would be 2 very different sizes, would it not? If you get what I mean?
Or two different.
Or you'd be Old Man Hurston and just give me $100 present and keep $4,900.
$100 present. No. You clearly do not understand Hurston.
You know what I mean.
It'd be a 5-cent present.
You know what I mean. But like, my point stands, right? So basically, they had more money coming in. The game was way more popular than they expected. Yep. That's why it increased the first time, and then the second time it was the tech and that they know they could do it because they had the backing of us to get it done.
But I do think that they have shown that going seamlessly and not needing those loading screens where the game would literally, and you know what it was like. Being an older gamer, you know what loading screens were like in a day. It'd stop, you get a freeze screen, you'd see the loading symbol, and then you'd go into the game. The IG wanted to do away with it. One of the ways was to have your jump, your quantum jump, being your loading screen. You're still you're in your little ship, but as you're going for a quantum jump or a wormhole, your computer was literally dumping the old stuff and loading in the new stuff. That's quantum and jump points are literally they are loading screens. It's just disguised.
Yep, that's it. Same as space travel, all that stuff. Oh, that was another thing. I can't remember where I heard it this week. I'm mentally blanking. But the first transient jump point was found somewhere, and not found as in like it'll be coming in the game. Yeah. And I think it was one of the leaks or something like that. I'd have to go back and do it. But yeah, we're getting our first transient jump point, which is pretty cool.
Pretty huge.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's a type that as a leak. That's probably more to me.
I think it was
that would be higher than finding out what ships were coming.
So what I remember was they steal a Polaris, and I can't remember who steals a Polaris, but they're trying to take it through a transient jump point to get it back to Pyro. But maybe someone in chat might remember or saw it as well. So
but that type of thing, like transient jump points, for me, is a bigger piece of news than whether the pallet is coming. So yeah.
Right.
I suppose it's because it's more a gameplay thing than anything else.
Yep.
Next question.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Because I think we've done Stimpak's question to death.
Yep.
Even though we didn't talk really CCU. Anyway, Spike says, where my fave box missions? Where are my favorite missions? I miss them. So many leaks saying they are returning. They are returning. So any leaks saying they are returning or anything. So box missions
I
aren't there at the
think
moment.
box missions have just been renamed under hauling.
Yeah.
And basically hauling, even if you look at the smallest ship in the game from a cargo point of view, they have 4 SCU. So I think you can see that the singular boxes will no longer kind of be the norm going forward. It'll be more likely moved over to the hauling system, and that was a holdover. Because obviously they had that box delivery machine. I think you'll probably find some of those machines may start to disappear, or they would be for, don't correct me if you think I'm wrong here, Algared, I'd move them for more bespoke collectible items. So like you pick up a rare artifact or something like that, and you deliver the rare artifact to the box, not just a...
So you mean like, I can't remember the actual thing, but in one of the lore stories, they've got some person who's bought their little, wanting to buy their little Aurora, but they're doing priority missions, priority transport missions, and that's what those box missions really are. It's priority transport. It's not.
Yeah, kind of, but like also you could also deliver it to a mission giver, and you know how you put the box into the vending machine type thing. You could just be putting that onto the bench in front of them. You kind of saw that with the was it the Hessian artifact? You kind of saw that a little bit with that.
Yep.
I think the tech will be useful, but I think they'll just move away from it, because obviously keeping cargo inside the hangar and the cargo elevators just makes a lot more sense.
Yep. Like I can see them keeping them, but as you said, as you broaden out the scope of those missions, it just becomes one little branch you could be doing. It's the type of mission you do when you're starting off, and before you gravitate into the bigger things, or it's the type of mission you do priority. You know, it's a speed mission. They're not the slow hauling. These are the fast. Get it there. It's got to be there. Yes, that type of thing. The space, I think there's a place for them, and it would be nice to see them, but again, haven't heard anything.
So I think mine and your humor, Algared, is not the regular cup of tea. I'm seeing so many people that don't get the joke. Why was this clickbait? It was just a joke, guys. That's all I meant. I didn't mean it in anything else other than that.
Wicklow is a Banu merchantman.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. Algared laughed out loud. I laughed out loud when I saw it, and saw the wall. If we're finding it funny, maybe the guys will find it funny, and we'll just put it out there.
In fact, I think you said, "Oh, I'm thinking I should do it as our title today," and I said, "Yeah, because it's to me it was funny."
I'll show you where we got it from, because I didn't come up with it. It's someone else's, right here.
And
it was a Reddit post.
How can we shorten it?
Yeah, we just essentially I just rewrote it into a different thing. So this is what I sent to Algared. So this was a post. So the credit goes to Major Wet Spot, right? He made the joke. After a decade, CIG presents the Man of Benjamin, and I thought that was hilarious. I laughed out loud. I copied and pasted it, sent straight to Algared, and when he looked at it, we happened to be on the phone.
Have a look at this picture. Have a look at this picture. What do you think?
And he's laughing his ass off, and I went, right. Why don't we make it the title then? You know.
And so because the Banu merchantman is that ship, that thing that has been every really old back has probably got one and looking forward to it and wanting it. And
if you read it out of context and you just read the line without the photo, it's not funny at all. It's just like the Banu merchantman's out. So you guys have just read the title and not looked at the thumbnail. That's what it tells me. And then you look at the thumbnail and you go, oh, that's hilarious. That's so dumb, but it's so funny. That's what it was meant to be. And I didn't mean anything harsh by it. So if you've just seen it out, I feel the thing is you've read the title and not seen the photo. That's my thing. So yeah.
Yep.
Anyway.
So
next question.
Theo says, how long has it been since the Gilly missions? I don't recall them. Must be before my time. They probably are.
I don't really remember the Gilly missions. We talked about them the other day, and I had no idea what you were talking about.
Yeah, like Gilly was yeah, set inside a asteroid hangar, so one of the old industries.
Oh, the VFG.
Yeah, Gilly was at the landing post. And say, Gilly, I'm here.
Oh, yeah. I know who you're talking about now. Wow, right. That is a long time ago.
Yeah. And he'd take you through and he'd say, okay, see if you can follow me. And you'd follow him through the things. And, okay, now we're going to do a...
He was the tutorial guy, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
And he was the guy on that he didn't have a face. He just he had the helmet and all that.
Yeah. Sergeant.
Yeah, I remember. And that aged really badly because basically within 3 months it didn't work anymore. And that never ever came back. Shit. Okay, yeah, let me fix that. Thank you, Ninja. Go ahead, Algared.
That was so much better than the horrible.
Algared is being distracted because I'm doing things on the screen.
So much better than but I thought it's better than.
Algared is being distracted.
Current. I'm being distracted.
That's not even my voice, Algared. That's the stream coming back at you, and you're getting distracted again.
I know. I realise that, but it really was. I think it's better than the text mission startup. Get area. Hate the current mission area. You say, yes, I'll do that startup mission, and it then guarantees everything is. Can't do. Oh, I'll do the startup mission based on Hurston or Up or Mirrortech, Microtech, Orison. If you do those startup missions at the moment, that's where you're starting. And I hate that. So, but Gilly, Gilly's missions were, it was almost like flights. And it was good to see them.
Thanks for letting me know about that, Citizen Ninja. It should be fixed now. So you guys will get the joke as well on Twitch. Sorry about that. I just don't have my regular setup back up yet. I lent my hard drive, one of my hard drives, to my little brother. It's been 3 weeks and he still hasn't brought it back, and I'm getting rather pissed because I've got the second PC sitting out in the kitchen for over a week now, waiting for him to bring it back so I can slot it in. I can put it back in here, and I don't want to put it back in here because it takes like a whole bunch of time to put it in, just to take it out and put the other hard drive back in. So, yeah. Right, next question, please.
Leighton, I know we just one. Matt P63, the Marine boy. What role do you see the Tack playing in game? Frontier multiplayer ship, a jack of all trades, beefed up Serenity. I know the Tack is probably bigger, and we'd have to really look in terms of fleet viewer, but I just see it as a variant of the Constellation.
Algared, I think your mic is cutting out because of your noise gate ever so slightly. I keep hearing you drop every little bit. I'm just letting you know, so because that means they're probably hearing it as well. So just be aware of it. Probably need to put your mouth closer to the mic, or loosen your gate a little bit.
We can bring this down a little.
So what was the question? What role?
Head, yes.
Yeah. What role do you see the Tack playing in game? A frontier multiplayer ship, a jack of all trades, a beefed up Serenity. I think Algared kind of hit the nail on the head. The more I've thought about it, the more I think his analogy is correct. It's a smaller Polaris. So you just strip the torpedoes off and make the ship smaller, and you can kind of see where it's going. So it is more of a gunship. So and you can do the same thing with the Polaris. You take the torpedoes off, that becomes a bit of a gunship. You don't have the brig either, but you do have a small hangar that's only got Furies in it. So it's like a cheap man's Polaris without torpedoes. I think the analogy is sound.
Or a rich man's Constellation.
No, I think the Constellation's better again because it's got a bigger Merlin. I would take the Merlin over the Fury personally. And it also has all that cargo, but there's not as much cargo on the Tack.
It's an alternative. I think it's an alternative to a Connie. They're both gunship. They've both got a snub ship. You get a medical bay in the Tack where you don't get one in a Connie. You get the cargo and a Connie. To me, they're just different flavors at the same time.
Well, sorry, I just read what Jack Raven said in chat. I think you're going to get your wish, Jack. Let's see if I can open this. I actually, and Algared, I think you'll agree. Yeah, Algared can see what I'm doing, but I think you would agree, Algared. This is what you and I kind of think this is. So Jack has said, I got, what did he say? He said, after seeing the Jedi T6 shuttle in Ahsoka, I now really want a Tanner Reliant ship that is the size of a Star Runner. Well, I think you might be getting your wish, bro. Because that's kind of what we think this is, right? And I had a big conversation with Grim about this, because Grim really thinks that this is a heavy fighter by Drake. And I said, look, no matter what you think of the manufacturer or anything like that, the only reason I'll never agree it's a heavy fighter is because of those wings. As soon as you put big ass wings on a fighter like that, is a massive weakness, because they can just blow them off. Tell me a ship in the game that doesn't have some, look at the Redeemer, you blow the engines off, that thing flies in circles. I just can't see why you would put massive wings like that on a heavy fighter. It doesn't make any sense. But what Jack Raven said makes so much more sense. A bigger version of the Reliant core. That's exactly, didn't we even, when you suggested it and said, what if it's a Reliant rework? I went, oh, because I can see that. It makes a lot of sense. A bigger version of there's no other ship like the Reliant in the game. It is unique as hell. And what's its problem? Not enough cargo. How do you fix that problem? You make it bigger.
And yeah, but for me, it was just, that suggestion. Couldn't see all the bits you're pointing out and saying how it would work as a Drake ship, and it just didn't sound right.
So I just
could make it,
and he was hearing the Drake thing and not the gunship thing. So I just removed the Drake part from the equation, and then I think he started to get it.
But when you looked at the manufacturing, it just makes sense.
Yeah. So SA is pointing out, and I do agree with him. He says, SA says it's a role. So he's talking about the Tack here. Obviously, he says its role is to try and be a gunship and fails at it. The main problem I have with the Tack is its sheer size. It's as we showed off on Grim's screen this week. It is somewhere between the Connie and the 600i, and it's actually closer to the 600i than it is to the Connie. It's about 20 meters bigger than the Connie, and about 10 meters smaller than the 600i. And when but it's actually also wider than the 600i. When you take that all in, and you've got a gunship, it makes it like, think about how slow the 600i is. It's a slow moving, massive target gunship. So it's going to take as many hits as it's giving. And it's got medical facilities. What good's are medical facilities if you get shot out of the sky? So
it reminds me of the old Connie. And you'll remember way back, Connie used to be fast, agile. You could take a light fighter and you could keep pace with it in turn mode. Everything else, insane.
Yep.
And when they brought in they gave it a size increase, and that back in the day when the Reclaimer
you dropped out again.
The Starfarer.
You dropped out again.
Goes back to when the Reclaimer and the Starfarer were given the flight models of large to make them feel sluggish, and they increased the size of the Connie, and that larger thing, and the Connie flew large ship. Now it did need to be slower than it was, because it was just so agile. But I always felt it went too far. I think they've back a little since then. It dates back to that type of time.
Well, essentially a little bit like the I'm trying to think of a human comparison. It would be similar to say something like the Spirit. You know how I always say it's like a pancake. Really, really fast with the engines, but it's a bigger cross section and easy to hit because it is a flying disc. It's even more prevalent in the tall flying wing ships, because when they go side on with ones like that, you've literally got to roll into them like the Spirit to be able to shot. But you kind of can't get away from that in the big wing ships, because they've only just got to turn, and they've got this massive cross section. So I just don't think that leans itself well to a fighter. Look how well the Santoki landed the Zion Scout. We do not have the flight model for them. They do not want to be putting ships into the game right now that are negative. They are trying to get this game ready for release with Squadron. I think you're going to try and see a lot more positive ships going forward. And someone mentioned this in chat. I wouldn't rule that out either. Like, all we heard was this is basically not Drake, but that doesn't mean it's. So someone suggested maybe it's coming at Alien Week and it's like a Zion ship or a Banu or something. I wouldn't rule any of that out, right? But I think the thing that me and Algared kind of firmly believe is it's not Drake. It's too complicated, and Drake don't do complicated. They're simple, elegant, no frills. Anyway, I hope that kind of answers your question there, Raven.
Yeah, I think Drake do more.
Not elegant.
Hydraulics and stuff.
No frills. Sorry. What? Yeah, simple.
Simple hydraulics.
Broke up. Anyway, you broke up there again. You need to go in and turn your gate down. It's going to keep happening. Yeah. All right. Back to this next question. So we're up to Sangram says, question: we have seen CIG push RSI and Drake ships. Which manufacturer do you think CIG will push next? I think, from our talk with Ben and John Algared, you would kind of agree they're kind of letting people do a little bit of what they want. They are a little bit all over the place just so people don't get burned out. And one of the things I've been hearing is it's got a really fast pace there at the moment. It's not crunch speed, but they are maintaining a very rapid pace.
I think the phrase was that you relate to me.
I can look that up.
They're really in sync. Basically, you're
cohesion.
Gath, they're really in sync.
Cohesion and flow was what I was quoted. So they're working really well together, and they've just got a flow, but it's a very fast flow.
And look, I think that I said to you, I think that ties in with the redrawing and refocusing and centralization.
Yeah. So Zakidi in chat says, I remember CIG saying in the past that the Tavaran could make new ships with the help of other human companies. It could be a whole new manufacturer or a Terran ship. We're not ruling any of that out. The information that was implied to us was it wasn't Drake. Yeah. Right? And when we are given that information, we just share it with you guys. Let you make your own decisions.
The very first thing was, the new Drake ship, and the look was, that was kind of a.
I don't think we'd ever discourage someone from disagreeing with this, Algared, because it promotes discussion. But if you can't come to me and give me evidence one way or the other, I'm not going to believe you. I'm thinking of one person in particular that time, and he was just like, "It's my opinion." You know who I'm talking about? He just said, "It's my opinion." He had no evidence. And you can't talk or speculate with people like that because they just want to be right. So if you want to come to the table and have those discussions with me and Algared, just find a bit of evidence, and we'll run that down that trail with you just to see where it leads. We'll pull at that thread. So yeah,
indeed.
Yeah.
All right.
Aka in chat says, "What's with the title? It's a joke, guys. He's a merchant that's Banu." The merchant man is in game. He's a merchant man. He's merchant who's a man who's a male, and he's in game. It's about a merchant man. It's in game. Finally, it took 10 years, but
that's all it was. It was just a joke.
Yeah.
I don't.
Oh, thank you for the gifted sub, Dufty Digit to Citizen Ninja. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Raven, Flo didn't die. And he's there.
Sorry,
I know what you're saying.
You're talking about Paul Jones, but your mic's cutting out again.
No.
You said it didn't die with, and I read the same comment, so I knew you were talking about Paul Jones, but yeah.
Yeah. So it didn't die with Paul Jones, and I know reference to Paul Jones.
Yeah, I think people are really keen. Oh my God, they're putting Banu Merchman in game, and now you're joking about it. No, but it's just a clever, funny joke. I thought it was.
It's not, but it died. It's been delayed and I think part of it so much.
Technically, you're correct, Sly. They don't have a gender. That is correct. He's a person, man. Maybe I should have put that Banu person, man. But yeah, I found it funny. Algared found it funny.
Yeah. Humor is obviously not.
Well, she'll have to make it up to you now, Wastelanders. He says, Dan, my wife was rubbing on my shoulder, and I was like, get the F out. I see the better measurement. Well, she'll have to make it up to you. My fault. I'll buy her a beer if I ever meet you guys.
I don't know whether, you know. Is it April 1st? I see Algared here.
Mm.
I don't get.
Yeah.
Okay, Sangro.
Maybe I should have done it on April 1st. Yeah, that would have been way more funny.
Yeah. Oh, but we didn't have that.
No.
Didn't have.
So yeah.
Yeah. Brainwave.
Sangro. Have you gone in and played with your noise gate? Because you really need to do it. It's got worse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Indeed. Why then? I've been trying to play with it, and it's hard to see because I'm seeing the button move and everything. Yeah. But
guys, just let me know in chat. Can you hear Algared cutting out like I can? Like just so he knows it's not me making shit up. Just let me know if you hear him cutting out. Thank you for the super chat.
Let's see if that does anything.
Cause the Paladin is coming. $10 because the Paladin is coming. Well, look, man, if the Paladin comes, I hope you're right. But people we talk to, and I talk to people that do data mining, and I talk to people at CIG. And like I said in the video, I went back and quoted it. Don't expect the Paladin at CitizenCon.
Don't expect the Paladin at Citizen at Invictus.
Oh, the Paladin is coming. All right, okay, yeah, it is coming. It's just he tricked me, see, but not at Invictus. Yeah, good job. Nice work. He tricked me.
Yeah, it is coming. It's just not at Invictus. Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They're saying you're a little bit quiet too, Algared. So
okay, well,
you turn it up a little bit if you want.
I'll have a look at it.
We had issues this morning. We had an issue when we did a show the other day. I had to like really turn him up loud to get him to work and stuff like that. Everything reset on him.
All right, that's probably going to blast your ears out now.
It is, but I can turn you down.
Over time, the Windows had slowly drifted it down to 70%.
But that's probably what was dropping a lot. So you still haven't fixed it, but that's all right. We'll get there.
Yeah, well, Windows is being a pain in the bottom. But yeah. So for the 50th time, it feels like trying to go to Sandgroper's question.
Sorry.
That's okay. We have seen CIG pushing RSI and Drake ships.
Which
manufacturers do you think CIG will push next? No,
that's the one we just did. Yeah, that was literally the one we just did. I read that before.
Well, you.
I didn't tick it. I didn't tick it. That's your job. You're the tickeroo. Yeah, that's fine.
If you keep changing the topic, I get lost.
You want to tell me about your hair care products?
I can't keep up with you.
Let's talk about your hair
going all over the place.
Let's talk about your hair care products. What shampoo do you use? Dishwashing detergent 101. Right. Anyway, sorry.
Pantene.
Next question. Pantene.
You know. Yeah, because you know. Sorry.
You're talking about Pantene and you're singing Install a Ream song. They are two completely different products.
No,
one's a hot water cylinder.
No, it was the
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. Citizen Ninja says G12 when should we unmount our $5 G12 CCUs given that only a few sub 100 ones have been offered in the past few years? Yeah. If you want a G12, you go get a G12. I am not holding my breath for that. It is not a priority. It's kind of like what happened with the brain fighting X1, because it just didn't really add anything to the pantheon of bikes. And it's the same thing here. You've already got the speed in the Cyclone. You've already got the enclosed cab in the Ursa, and it's the same. In fact, it's wider than the Ursa when we looked at it last. And all you're doing is essentially merging the Ursa and Cyclone together. So it doesn't really add any new gameplay. It's just a different option. And I think it'll be one of those ships that's on the back burner. And when someone's free and they've got nothing else to do, they'll work on it.
They'll be given it.
Yeah. Well, not even for that long. They might only work on it for 2 weeks and then go off and come back to it again.
Yep. And the other thing is, if you want the G12, yeah, milk it and put it in your thing. If you're looking at it as a stepping stone for something cheaper, again, yeah, I melt it and put it into your chain. But it's a much of a muchness at the end of the day. So, but yeah, Shampasta. Now that 4.1 has been out for a while, do you think CIG is on track with playability and stability?
Mm-hmm. All right, let's read a question from someone at CIG. Mm-hmm. Hang on, say again.
So, do you think, this is Shampasta, do you think since 4.1 has been out for a little while, that CIG is on track for their goal of playability and stability?
I feel the game is getting more and more stable when I play it. I feel like it's becoming a little bit more polished. I do see small quality of life things coming in here and there. Obviously, there's a long way to go. But I always take CIG on good faith. They don't always deliver. But I think we are not fully going to be able to answer that question, Shampasta, until the end of the year and look back at it over a certain period of time and go on. And I think you can do that with the game as a whole. You can go, look where it started, and it's taken a really long time, but things have gotten better as they've gone along. But I think you would agree, Algared, though, they really haven't actively been working on Stars in probably the last 12 months type of thing. Yeah. So it's only now where we actually start to see a lot more movement.
Yeah, I think that's right. Look, and I've always said, but I think Star Citizen as a game was better than most games we were buying in the shops or online or on Steam or anyway, just in terms of what you could do.
Yeah.
Now, did it mean I thought it was unglitchy or perfect? No. It was at times a horrible burning basket, but it was still better than most of the games you were getting. And
the potential. You can see the potential.
And you can see the potential now. And I think, as I look at what we've seen so far this year, I think, yes, they are pushing playability. Do I like the playability they're pushing? Not always. Is it more stable? It does seem more stable. Certainly when the game freezes and you know you get the service, and very, very rarely do I find I drop out and go to desktop. It usually comes back. That's something that a year ago wasn't happening. But I think, as you said, as the year goes on, we'll get a better answer to that. And when you think of it, we're only in, the fourth month. We're not even halfway through the fourth month yet.
Yeah.
So I'd look at that maybe 6 months in, see how it's going, and then.
And if you already kind of look at like how this year's gone, we've had 2 or 3 big events now. Like they're doing one every month. We're about to. What are we, about halfway through the month? We already know that what's coming from the leaks and stuff. There's, all these mining bases coming in. There seems to be that Polaris type thing coming around Invictus and stuff like that that's designed for May. So they've even designed stuff around Invictus. I see a lot of veterans all of a sudden going, oh shit, an event while Invictus is on. Yeah, and they've done that in the past and it goes horribly. But I will be honest, the one last year was one of the better ones they'd ever done. They learned to remove, they separated the hall and put it underground, really far away from microtech, so it removed a lot of that lag. They are learning things, and again, I think it was a priority order. Like they were working on other shit. Now they're actively working on this game. You can see that they're learning at a really rapid pace and making steps to fix those things. And I think as they go, it's like any group or any people, even your own self, Algared. When you teach yourself, you make alliterations and improvements, and rapid prototyping is essentially how I'd kind of phrase it. They might have been a bit slow to the party, but they haven't actively been working on the game until, as I said, 12 months ago.
Yes, I've heard of Frontier. I don't like Frontier.
Frontier? You mean Fortnite? He can't read either, guys.
Fortnite, it's small print, and I hate Fortnite. My kids are constantly saying, "Sir, do you play Fortnite?" No, Fortnite sucks.
Yeah.
Why, sir? Because I'm no good at FPS games. Oh, sir, come on. You can join my group. I don't want you in my group. I don't want you. I don't want to play with you. Go away. Leave me alone. So, yes, that's...
I don't know about anyone else in chat, but I just heard he gets picked on by his own students.
The student...
I so want to go to your school now and just, sit in the back of the classroom and go, Sir, why are you so not funny, sir? Like, I'd pick on you, like chronically. It'd be so fun. I'd get so much trouble. If I was your kid.
Students know that my game, they don't know what games I play because, you just because of things like duty of care, you don't want to be doing social things with your kids. It's icky and a minefield.
Yeah.
So you don't want to do things in social media with them or other stuff. So
they're going to find. We've been preparing for this for since it started. We said eventually one of our grid students are going to find him, and they've never found him yet. But it's going to happen.
One day it'll happen.
Yeah, one day.
As a number of videos keep cropping up.
You know what it'll probably be? It'll be an ex-student that's in the early 20s. I reckon that's what it'll be. It won't be a current one. It'll be,
I know there are a couple of students at school that come up occasionally and say, how's Star Citizen going, sir? Yeah, there's a couple of students know that I
so they're very hush-hush, right? Oh, they probably have seen
so some of them will do that. And I say, hey, it's pretty good. And I said, are you into Star Citizen? Oh, my dad is.
So the parents know, and they haven't let on to the kids. The parents are hush hush. I see what's going on. That's pretty cool.
But the kids are always, what about Fortnite or Minecraft? And I say, no, I don't like the I don't like the 8-bit graphics on Minecraft. I get why they did it, but I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's the curse of the indie game type of thing. They have to make compromises. So,
but and the kids love those, and I'm happy for them to love those games. But when it comes to the FPS, I'm five thumbs and 2 fingers these days. It's
right.
The old reflexes aren't as good as they used to be.
Jack has called us cringe. I don't know whether to go more cringe or step back. We'll go on to the next question just to save Jack. Right. Yep. I am going to skip ahead because I noticed someone here that's flirting with us, and it's very late where they are there in the UK. I'm not going to say their name, but the question is, why are you guys so good looking? Because you like to flirt with us. That's why. That's why.
We are. Yeah. That's why. What else can we say?
Yeah. So that's someone from CIG that's trying to get us to be slapped.
Yeah. Because we are.
Yeah. Right. No, good to see you, mate. Hope you're doing well.
Yep, right. Indeed.
Next one.
Sangroper. Do you think CIG will add larger versions of the Rattler, size 7 warhead, missiles to the game as a counter to the PDS?
Like a torpedo that breaks into missiles type of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, while we're at, why don't we just put a dwarf in the torpedo and they pop up with the sentry turret and just shooting everyone? I don't know. They can do whatever they want. But you get what I mean, right? I
thought for a second you were going to put a dwarf in the head and then it tosses it at the ship.
That'd be funny, actually. But no, they can do whatever they want from a gameplay perspective. But I've even thought about things like, for example, could you have a torpedo that essentially, as it flies, it actually disconnects parts of its tail and it turns into multiple mines. So like a rapidly shot out mine launcher type of thing.
Yep.
It's like when we were doing that episode and I said, why haven't they done a mine layer vehicle? That would be so easy to implement and it would work right now. Think about I'm about to be attacked again. Think about the event we have at the moment with the mining. If you could, even if they had them in game where you could just put them down by hand, right there.
Yep. Cause a big explosion. And rocks gonna get thrown out. Yep.
Sorry, I got distracted by Jack.
So look, I would like to see different types of missiles, and I know CIG have talked about different missiles down the track, even going as far as, jamming missiles or all that type of thing.
And got into e-warfare again, have we? That's so much left to explore.
And I would, I know from playing the old board game, Starfleet Battles, and even the computer game.
Yep.
There were ECCM missiles or ECM missiles, so you could have one that would boost your defense and and reduce and make it harder to target you, and there'd be ones that would actually counter the ECCM. That was all the all the types of things you could have with missiles, and that's been in games for donkeys. So why wouldn't CIG, if they could do it, put it in?
What about all the ammo types that they've talked about coming for the Perseus? They've got to work on those this year to come out with the Perseus. So you start to think that across the board, like different munition types for torpedoes or mines, or could you have phosphorus fire mines as an example, or gas mines? Can you like all the different FPS weapons? And you have flatchet rounds that make you bleed profusely and you need special medical attention. Can I fire a gas grenade? Or you see where I'm going with this? Like we are such an infancy of what we are dealing with in this game at the moment. And the level of scope is just, we're at a slither. And you and I have said this multiple times. Once you start to fill it out, we are kind of still in a puddle stage. Once it starts to get that depth, and like anything we look at, like the way the forests are done, we've just got these European style trees. We don't have the tropical trees or anything like that. And then, as I said, alien trees and flora and fauna, you can start to see.
And as we said, that was one of the things that we went, when they showed that on
because we'd called that
at CitizenCon, because we'd been saying that's that's what we were expecting to see at some point. So it was like a really good thing to see. When I think of, I was thinking something about missiles and I forgot what it was going to be. What I was going to say. It's okay. PDSs. I could see them doing that for PDSs anyway. As the game goes on.
Oh, you mean different ammo types for PDSs, or?
Yeah, different. I could see the different ammo types, and even when you look at that, ECCM type missiles and stuff are no different from different ammo types, and I could see those different missiles. Oh, that's what I was going to say. You'd remember from Wing Commander, the Skipper missions, the Skipper torpedo mission, where the torpedo was fired at you and it was cloaked, and whenever it changed direction, it'd uncloak
and then turn.
The ship couldn't target it with a PDS mission, so you had to send out a fighter to intercept it and take it out. Now that's a Chris Roberts game.
Yeah.
Do you not think that something?
I wouldn't be surprised
is
if
going to be in there somewhere.
Some kind of prototype mission or Lost Tavaran prototype or something like that. Yeah, absolutely. I could see that as a thing. And it's a good gameplay thing because you're all perked up. It's just one torpedo coming in. Right there, boy. Right.
And you've just got to target it.
Yeah, you just got to target it when it uncloaks, and it's all hands on deck. I could totally see it. I could even see that in Squadron, to be honest with you. Things like that. So and we Titan suits as well. All the different types of Titan suits. Like one of the ones we were talking about, all the different ones that you could have. Like we could probably do an episode on that again. We have talked about this a lot, but I don't think we've done one on Titan suits. The very first episode where I took over the show was on Titan suits, and then we did one about 4 years after that. We haven't done one since. It might be time to go back and revisit it at some point in our group.
We're probably due to do a Titan suit episode, especially since we're now starting to get mech suits. Of some form.
Yeah, I'd be really surprised if we don't get a Titan suit in Invictus. Like I just.
Yeah, and.
Yeah,
like I said, the
one at Wicklow's
and the Geo were new.
The one at Wicklow's, I think that was hype for Invictus, like a teaser.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I didn't disagree with you when you raised it. Good morning, Lemming. How are you today?
Yes, SA. He should get his vision checked. Absolutely. I don't know what's wrong with him. But if he saw you, he'd be in love. So don't worry about it. Yeah. Definitely, I think you would agree. SA is the sexiest of all of us. Algared, I know you've seen him.
Yeah, definitely.
Easily.
But
SA wants to do a Titan suit episode. All right, yeah, we'll get you in for that one.
All right,
as a military guy, we'll have to see who else we can get, because I think we need to get a utility person. We'll maybe get you, John, and myself together, or something like that, or Algared if you want to join in too. And get a few people in for that one, because that could be an interesting episode. We'll work it out in the next couple of extras so we get some time settled.
Yep.
Right.
Sam 408 says, with a move to but with more than 5-star systems, would CIG be able to use the 37 only UEE star system approach, allow the players to use base building to fill up the 37 UEE star systems and be out sooner with AI?
I think it's more like one of the reasons they talked about using Stanton was it gave them more tile sets to work with as well. And one of the ones I was really looking for when we were there, do you remember I said to you, I said, look at it, it's a lava planet.
Yep.
Because I wanted lava planets and we haven't had one, and there was meant to be lava stuff in Pyro and they didn't do it.
Yeah, and that got kind of canned.
And it pissed me off because I want to live on a lava planet. And like one of my favorite concepts is the one of that planet with the big, the drums that come out of the. I'll find the concept, but I can't remember the planet. But there's
it's basically a lava planet, and
these giant silos
on the ground, and you
So
the silos come out of the pile, and you land on the silo and go down. It's but yeah, it's so many different varieties. But that's one of the reasons why Stanton was chosen. You had ice, cityscape, skyscape, desertscape, and so you had the variety of those areas, and then you had your moons as well.
So this is called Gideon Taco. I don't know where the hell that is, but that's the one that I love this image, just the visual of it. It's a little bit like June, but a lava planet. And they actually, that's an entire city in a cylinder, and they actually kind of come out and you can land in them and then they go back down. I just thought that was so. Why would you choose to live there? Like, I just thought that was, I just was somewhere I wanted to visit. I had not seen anything like that in a game before. You can't live on the surface. Yeah.
Profit was immense. That's why you live there.
Yeah. Well, they're obviously something to do with mining, you'd have to assume, yeah.
Imagine what the Verica worms are.
The what?
The worms. The big sand worms. Imagine
what lava worms. Oh, yeah, possibly. They could be really hard skin or whatever, yeah.
But yeah.
That is exactly it, Zakidi. Darth Vader living on Mustafar. That's exactly what I wanted. That's exactly what I was after. You got me in one, man. You got me in one.
High ground.
Yeah, shut up, Obi-Wan. Right, next question, please, Obi.
But yeah. Just in terms of that question, though, I don't think they will just stick to the UEC. Why? Pyro is not a UEC.
Well, they basically said they want to do two it was essentially like 2 bad ones and 3 good ones was what was coming in those first 5. And there are systems that we know of, like I always forget the names, like Temper or Tamsa or something like that. It's a giant black hole. There's nothing there, and you probably don't want to go anywhere near it.
It's just a shortcut for getting,
Well, think about it. It's not a shortcut. It takes a really long time to cross it, actually. But here's the thing: what was there? What other things could be stuck in the gravitational pull? Like, you start to think, what can explorer ships find there? They risk. We know ships like the Endeavour have this reinforced cab and stuff like that. So maybe only certain ships can go into the system. But what can they find there? What's been lost to time there? And it's a massive system, like really, really. It's not the biggest, but it is a fairly big one. I'll see him. I'll pull it up on the
But when you're looking at that system as being a shortcut, because it's got a jump point elsewhere, instead of maybe having to do 15 jumps to get to this place, it makes it a shortcut because it's only got 1 jump.
Just excuse the noise until I can mute it.
So when I say shortcut, I'm not talking about how quick it takes you to get across the system. It's talking about being able to go from a system to a different system that may not have had a jump.
So, Stanton's like 4 SC or whatever. It's this one over here. Here is it, Tamsa. This is it here.
Yep.
Right. Oh, am I? I'm not. I need to press the button. There we go. Right. So this is Tamsa, right? So you can see it's even got its all spinning effect and everything, right? And that's at the middle. It's got 1 planet in it, and the entire system. I've got to click on the control disk to get the size of the system information. Give me the information. Why don't you give me the information? It's not coming up
now.
No, it's not coming up. It won't come up. It's coming up under here. So basically they moved this over and it changed the website and it's hiding the information up there. I can't see it now. But maybe I can do it on the wiki real quick. Hang on. Citizen wiki.
But yeah, so the systems are, there are a lot of systems that are a lot larger than
there you go.
Stanton.
303 and Stanton's like
Stanton
4.
is like, yep.
So there's a massive
Stanton
difference.
Is teeny weeny.
Yeah,
and that's
tiny
another
one.
reason why Stanton was chosen as well. Like,
yeah,
it's a small system.
Yeah.
Easy to get to everywhere, and you've got 4 major landing zones. So even if they worked back in the old days with one landing zone per planet, Stanton gave you a really good starting point because you had 4 totally different planet style or citizen style. Plus you had 4 major settlements in the green zone, and not many planets have that. Stanton is unique, and we've got a plethora of places in Stanton, and there will be systems that are significantly empty. In comparison, and that was the thing. Pyro was supposed to be a system that was significantly empty in comparison, and it's now really full.
This is different from what I remember it though, Algared. I remember this being like Tamsa, like this wormhole was essential, or black hole was like really big. It seems to have changed.
They seem to have shrunk it a little bit. Yes.
Yeah, because I just remember it being really big, like, and it took up most of the system. In this, it's very different because you've got jump points to Banshee, so it does look like it's changed. Because I just remember there was 2 jump points and they were like extreme other side of the system like that. So now it looks like I
don't even remember planets in it. There's one.
Yeah, I don't remember planets in it.
Got nothing.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Like, I'm going on memory. I haven't looked at the map for a while.
Yeah, there's the other one. Is that it? No, no, that's a completely different system just floating in front of my face. But yeah. There only seems to be 1 jump point out now. I remember there being, what if I can go back? I remember it being 2. If I turn on the jump gates.
Do you want to just look it up?
It's only 1. Null? Yeah, I can look at that for you. But yeah, it's changed. It's definitely changed.
Null's supposed to have nothing. That's why
there's nothing called null that came up. N-U-L, 1L, you reckon? No?
I thought it was 1L.
Yep, there you go. You're right. I was wrong. I had 2 L's. So this is null. Well, it's got planets, so that can't be it.
Planets, so. But the story is the person jumped in and went, oh, there's nothing here.
Yeah.
Hence why I got the name null. And then it got the multiple jump points. So.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, there's a whole plethora of different.
Oh, it's right on the border too. Like it's anyway. Yeah, so those of you that haven't checked that out on the star map, please do so.
The star map has actually won awards.
Yeah, it did.
So it is worth checking out, and it does have chunks of little bits of lore put in. It's a nice way to actually look at the universe and look at the world and get an idea of the background of the ideas of all the worlds. And that gives you a hint of that world.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
So. Carlton Whitfield. My question is, where does the Gladiator fit in the new torpedo? It doesn't.
Check your volume again, Algared. You're dropping out. So he said something about the new torpedoes fitting in the Gladiator, I think is what the question was.
So it doesn't really fit into the new meta. It's got size 5 torpedoes. It's probably like the Harbinger.
It's a carrier-based bomber, is what it is. It's essentially a compact bomber. Is I think you'd agree with that analogy, Algared.
Yeah. It was the first. It's developed from the Hornet series. So it is created about 80 years later.
Yeah.
I think it uses case designs, heavy fighter type. It's part of its origin. It's a 2-person ship. It's a torpedo bomber, so it's only got size. It's got the smallest torpedoes. that are in game, and a pile of missiles. It's supposed to, in law, was used for dropping off supplies, for bombing, and varied other missions, including command and control for various squadrons.
We want to see.
We don't see those modules, and
we want to see some modules and variants of it too.
I'd love to see modules of variants. When I asked CIG that, or when I asked Ben and John that question, what about the modules for the Gladiator? The problem they said they had was the fact that the torpedo bay is so big, but to do things like the bombs that it would have would be so small, and so you'd have this massive waste of space. And so the question is, how do we do that? How do we make that work in the game? And they're leaning, and they were tossing up where we go variants or look at some way to do modules, and I don't think they've worked that out. And so that means the Gladiator is in that nebulous no man's land at the moment. So yeah.
People are now stuffing with other people about the Merchantman. So sick of repeating themselves, they're just like gone. It was so big.
Evil.
It came and gone. Yeah. Read what they're saying in chat. Like, it was so big. You just missed it. It's gone. The Merchantman is Wicklow. He's a merchant. He's a Banu. And a Merchantman. Anyway. And I said man before, and then someone called me on my bullshit and said, you don't have a gender, but whatever. Man, human, bipedal object, man. Anyway, but it was meant to be a joke, and Algared and I found it funny, and now everyone's getting really butthurt because they've looked at it literally and not looked at the photo and seen that it's Wicklow. He's a Banu.
Yeah. It's a Banu merchant per people.
Yeah.
But we're not using man anyway. But man was just being used generically.
Yes.
Not into pronouns, I'm sorry. If you don't like it, tough. Dorlet, thank you. Orlet, thank you for that $2 super chat with a +2. Awesome.
Appreciate it, mate. Thank you.
Most appreciated.
Yeah.
Shinobi Trip. Someone actually, Jack Raven had a question. He didn't put it as a question, but he had put it as a question, but I'm going to grab it now. Why is the Valkyrie now my favourite daily driver? The simple answer is because you're sick.
Yeah.
I have no idea why to
Stuffed
answer
in
that
the head.
question. Maybe
Dropped at
Execute
birth.
has a reason.
I don't know. No, well, I think he's probably hinting at the fact that they upped the cargo quite a bit.
Yep.
90 SC of cargo is nothing to shy at now.
No.
I think it's totally fine. It should have been that way the whole way along. With the cost of that ship too, it kind of makes a lot of sense, and it adds a lot of utility to the ship.
Yep. No, 100%.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think it should have been that way from the beginning. I think the only issue I kind of have with that ship now at all, but let's be honest, it's also a part of its design, is it is meant to be an atmosphere ship. And that's why when you open the exterior to space, you're stuffed. So everyone was envisioning like this drop ship that's like, like a Black Hawk helicopter, and you're shooting space stations like this. No, that's not what it's for. It's that, but only in atmosphere. So it's right ship for the right job. And I know SA was in chat before, and he'll say the same thing. Every single drop ship we looked at, it had a role that was niche to itself. That's the Valkyrie. The Valkyrie is a small vehicle transporter for the Cyclone predominantly, and 20 troops to fill out those Cyclones to get them to the planet. And that's what it's for. Now, you'd essentially go from station or ship, planet. That's it. That's all. It's short range. Anyway,
now we've got an episode, don't we, where it was looking at the dropships with the military guys, or is that one, or didn't that get done? Way back.
Sorry, I was reading a message. Say again.
An episode where you and SA and someone else looked at the dropships and their place in the verse.
Yeah, I think we would have done. SA would probably remember more than me because he's done a lot less shows than me. But SA, if you're still there, go maybe answer.
So I'm pretty certain somewhere in our log of videos there's one that actually looks at the dropships and their roles, and which ones are good and which ones are bad, and why they're good and where they work. So it's
but again, there wasn't a single one. No, that didn't have a place. They all had this little specific niche that they could fall into, and they were the best at that particular role. and that was every single one of them. Even the Cutlass fell into that because it's just a cheap and dirty dropship, comparable to a lot of the others, right? It's got 6 seats. It's really designed. That is such a jack of all trade ships. You can do a bit of cargo with it. You can do combat, and it's got the drop seats on it. Like there's no. It reminds me of the Starfarer. Now people go, what the hell is Starfarer or Cutlass? But the Starfarer has 20 drop sheets on it.
12.
12.
6 on each side.
12? I thought it was 20. Okay, whatever. The point still stands. Why are there drop ships on a cargo ship or refueler? What?
Yeah. There are probably 20 seats on the Starfarer all up when you take crew, but there's 12 in the back.
Thank you for the 5 gifted Inforunners memberships, Wayne. Appreciate that. That went to Jack Raven. He doesn't deserve it. All it deserves it though. Zachary deserves it, and Wenzel deserves it, and Heath M. Congrats on that.
Yeah, but that Jack Raven guy, not at all.
No, not at all. Not one bit. But yeah, enjoy. Make sure so. Thank you to Wayne. Thank you, Wayne. Do appreciate it. Yep. Right.
So Shinobi Trip. With all the talk of new torpedoes, do you think the Gladiator will fade further from CIGs? Might it get a much needed update?
No, because Algared and I talked to about them, and I'm convinced that it'll come around again. That's almost every question. We had some really deep questions that we wanted answered, and like burning ones that had burned us for a really long time, and we did try to not overburden them with too many questions all at the same time. Yeah. So, but they talked about it passionately. I think John was quite passionate about where that would go.
Like I remember Ben's response was, and it wasn't we hate it. It was a we've got a problem. We're just not sure how we want to deal with it or how to deal with it. The same with Kruger. Raise the Kruger question. We just wanted the Ares to be where it was. Oh, we didn't think of Kruger, but you're not alone in wanting Kruger ships because,
I'm laughing at Jake goes, I'm the member they need but don't deserve. Yeah, that's true.
Yep, true.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Benoit is a great,
hang on. He sent me some recordings. First or second one? I'll go to the first one. So apparently, I've got this set up to hear the browser. I think I do. So apparently, I really almost want you to talk about this because you were saying he's in a lot of chat managers in Twitch, but apparently, there was. I got to go back and find it. So apparently, so this is can't install COD on Twitch says, okay, so probably the Anvil Asgard and the mobile command center for Invictus. By the way, if the sound clips are to be believed, so apparently these sound clips lead us to, or at least lead uninstall COD to believe that the Anvil Asgard and the mobile command center. Remember what I said about the Valkyrie, them finding, and they've just assumed that it's the Paladin. The Asgard is that other Valkyrie variant, so maybe this does bear some fruit. So let's have a. I'm gonna see if we can have a listen here. Let me know if you can hear it in chat. If you can't, let us know. Here we go. All right, I'm gonna turn that up again. Oh, I muted it. My bad. Hell, it keeps muting. It keeps muting. All right, let's do it again.
Deploying the Navy's heavy hitters to where they're needed most requires a heavy-duty transport, like the fleet's latest addition, the Anvil Aerospace Asgard.
I think I don't want to say I don't want to say I called it.
Heavy-duty transport, like the fleet's latest addition.
Are you hearing that, Algared? Remember what I said about the name Asgard? And I looked it up, and the name of Asgard was it was home of the gods. And I said, what if it transports Titan suits?
Yep.
I don't want to say I don't want to say that's kind of cool, but I'm excited for that. I don't want to credit it. Oh God, I got it right or anything like that. But I'm just really excited that I got it right. Oh, you can't hear it. Oh, god damn
so.
it. I don't know how to make it louder. It's as loud as it keeps muting itself all the time too. Hang on. Hang on, give me a second. I'm gonna try and turn it up here. Volume mixer. Firefox is 100% and you can't hear it. Alright, so I'll check OBS. Browser filters. I'm gonna put a gain on it. This is probably gonna blow someone's ears out. I'm gonna double it. Right? Alright. If it hurts your ears, I apologize. But just tell me if it's too loud now. Alright, I'm gonna play it again. Here we go.
Deploying the Navy's heavy hitters to where they're needed most requires a heavy-duty transport, like the fleet's latest addition, the Anvil Aerospace Asgard.
I just realized Right, I gotta mute you for a second to do this properly. Just give me a second.
Okay.
So they won't hear you. Right. Now it should be louder, right? Give me a second. You're not gonna hear Algared, but you will be able to hear this. Here we go. Right, you wouldn't have heard anything. I just realized it's not selecting the right thing. I don't normally okay. Need to figure out a way to fix this. Hang on. Filters. I'm gonna turn on that gain, Algared. If you talk, you're gonna make my ears bleed, okay? Don't talk. Don't talk! Oh my god, so loud. All right.
Deploying the Navy's heavy hitters to where they're needed most requires a heavy-duty transport, like the fleet's latest addition, the Anvil Aerospace Asgard.
Let me just turn the filters off before Algared kills me. Right. Did you hear it that time? Okay. All right, you heard it. Good, thank God. Oh, right. So long. No, everyone's telling Algared to talk. Yeah, no, you bastards. But yeah, long story short, he talks about
delivering the Navy's heavy hitters.
Yeah, and so it's some. I think we can agree it's some kind of transport, right?
Yep.
The Valkyrie transported cyclones. So this is where my brain goes, right? And you tell me what you think. So it's not cyclones, right? I think we can kind of rule that out, right? So it's either a vehicle that transports a singular large vehicle, think Nova tank, ballista, right? There's a need for that, a military transporter for large vehicles, or it's for Titan suits. Now, I think both of those work because the other thing they found in the file for the Asgard was it has a nozzle, almost like a refueling nozzle. See where I'm going here, right? You either refuel you can refuel the vehicles, so it's probably a transporter and refueler for whatever vehicles it's transporting, whether they're Titan suits or whatever. But considering we've seen multiple Titans come and they know how much we want Titan suits. You tell me, Algared, if you're gonna release, you know as well as what I'm gonna say, right? Because we've theorized this for years. If you were gonna sell Titan suits, what would you upsell that with?
Deliveries.
Yeah, it's obvious. Check your volume again. I think you've gone down again. But yeah, it's obvious. So you guys tell me in chat. Like, let's do a poll, Algared. You want to do a poll?
No,
we haven't done a poll.
We can do a
week.
poll, but yeah, my thought would be heavy hitters. Delivering the heavy hitters, to me, that's multiple rather than one big ship. So that makes me think, okay, yeah. The only thing that makes me go against thinking Titan suits is it's the Navy's heavy hitters, and Navy makes me think not Marines, but ships rather than Marines. But if it was the other option is delivering Titan suits and a group of them, and that seems to make sense, and it ties in with the drop module for the drop seat module for the Retaliator, which also had a plug-in port for a Titan suit, supposedly.
Yeah. So both of them work is what I'm saying. All right, so we're up to 57% on YouTube, and Twitch has just started. They're a little slow on the update. Twitch, no, that's my fault because I did it second. Oh, I hit the wrong key. Yeah.
Yep. Wolf Blitzer has a question while we wait. Do you think they will bring large flat landing zones to cities?
you mean by that?
Like the original Area 18 landing pad.
I think it would depend on the city, the style and the landscape. Like, look at the stuff that we're seeing in what's the one that they showed off at the military one that's almost Russian inspired? That seemed a lot flatter than other cities we've seen. What the hell? The one in Castro.
Yep, I know the one you mean, but I can't
it's right on the tip of my tongue, and I can't remember it. It's got one of those really military shitty names.
But yeah,
isn't it Cascom?
No.
Cascom. Yeah, Cascom.
Is
Castro Command.
I thought it was
Cascom's the name of the city, of a planet at least, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the planet, but it's like Hermie or planets. Yeah, Cascom's the planet. Hadaidia, that one. Which one is it? Nix. No, they're the no, that's not it. Where's the main city?
So you can see the image of the city on Castra there.
Yeah, I can see it. But yeah, I'll bring that up on screen. Give me a second. Yeah, so no, it's the other one. Where is it? God damn it! Everything but the one I want, which is the red one. You know the one I'm talking about. Man, we used this as a thumbnail a little while ago. Man, I hate not being able to remember shit. It's pissed me off. I hate getting old, It sucks. Oh, citizen. That already. Which is, that's the one I was talking about. See how it's kind of flatter and it's in the sky? Sherman! That's the name. Sherman. I knew it was some kind of military reference. It's after the tank. The Sherman tank. See, I'm not an idiot. Do you remember what I was talking about? Anyway,
after Sherman. The general. But yeah.
Look, I remember the tank. I don't remember the general, right? But you are technically correct. That's probably what the tank was named after. Let's be honest, Algared. Did they name it after the general or after the tank? They named it after the tank. They didn't name it after the general. Yeah. All right, so
we've got MacArthur Station.
We got hardly any votes on Twitch. Only 3 people voted. That's not very many. They said 67%. And then on YouTube, as we'll end this one, they said 75%. So that I think we can say that's a positive on both. Yeah, I just think it's such a upsell. If you could buy, hey, here's like a Titan suit or even a couple of different Titan suits, right? And then, oh, by the way, and here's this new ship to carry them all. You know? I just
because you can only carry one in your Retaliator. Yeah,
military Titan suits and a military transporter. That sounds like a winner to me. You know, I reckon that's a license to print money with the way they know we are.
Yep.
Yeah, Lemming, you were there before. What's your take? What's your take on that?
Oh yeah, I'm here.
What's your take on that as an idea? Based on that sound clip. Did you hear the sound clip?
Yeah, I heard the sound clip. I'm not sure. I like to temper expectations, especially right now. It's easy to hope for a whole lot and then be absolutely crushed when it doesn't come with Invictus. So based on that, I'm going to say that this is some kind of transport or refueler for ships.
Are you like hopefully optimistic is what I'm kind of hearing?
No, just don't want to be...
Don't want to be burned. You want to hype yourself up. Yeah, I get you.
Tempering his expectations.
Yeah, that's it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, but I think at the very least, no matter which way we see that, it's some kind of military transport. I think we can agree based on that audio. That's pretty like. Now, there's one other one here that kind of still COD was kind enough to send through. And it, can I see it? I retracted my former links. What? Oh, you son of a bitch. He gave me the link and then he removed them. Where did that go?
Because you didn't deserve it. Yeah.
I know. Oh, I think I accidentally just closed it too. 3 recently closed tabs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, link it back to me. Why the hell did you do that? SOB? That's annoying.
Oh, well.
Damn, that's
But
annoying.
to go back to Wolf Blitz's question, do I think they'll ever bring large flat landing zones to cities? Given that they got rid of Port STAR, and they've gone for hangars and things to enable the gameplay to work, so there's less chance of having landing zones be filled up with ships so you can't land. If they do, it'll be very small locations, or there'll be assist or there as well as the hangar type system, I think, just for gameplay. Because if you've got a planet that's just flat landing zones and you can't land because everyone's got a ship on it or it's wrecked, that's not fun. And as you always say, gameplay trumps everything. And so, while it might be cool, I can't see it being the only system they use. So,
I think they're actually going in the opposite direction of large flat landing zones. I think that, especially with the reputation system coming along as quickly as it is, I think that we're going to have smaller reputation-based landing zones in the very near future. So
more like outposts and stuff.
More like outposts, or like private garages for your skyrise apartments.
Yeah, they talked about that, didn't they? Yeah, no, I agree with you. That makes sense. Because they can also procedurally generate it at runtime too if they have to.
Exactly.
So it saves on resources and stuff. And so when they send you to a building, even though the entire shell's there, they can just go, all right, Force 47, there's a landing pad there, you land there, he's going to need this, this, and this, bang, and it just spawns it all. So yeah, they're going to have different types of buildings. That's a really good way to spin it up and spin it down too. It saves a lot of resources.
But if it's a flat landing zone that's out there, you don't want those zones to be disappearing.
Yeah.
Whereas the hangars, you can do that way and just have the door open and there, and when it's closed, it's not really there. So, yeah. Anyway, Tango Charade.
Okay, I found one here. I'm just trying to think how I'm going to play this. Hang on. Can I open link? Ooh, nope. It tried to make me download it. God damn it. I don't have a way to play this. But apparently there's a thing here that talks about a Graycat MTC mobile tactical center. You know what that reminds me of, Algared? Is this.
Yeah.
I'm just going to open this on Firefox so they can see. It reminds me of this from the blue silhouette image.
Yep. And if you look at the kind of back corner of a wheel near my head, it looks like a tracked vehicle rather than a wheeled vehicle.
Yeah. So where there, Cod was saying before about that it's a mobile command station. I think it'd be like a the orb or the globes. What do they call them? The man globes. So that's kind of how I see that. So it's just like an observer station that observes the battlefield and reports things back, almost like recon. I wonder also if it's like a platform for other things as well. It reminds me a little bit of like an alligator. You know the alligators, Algared, with the tracks on the side. So is this amphibious? For those who don't know what that means, it means it goes in water and goes on the ground. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Possible. I certainly think it's a tracked vehicle rather than wheeled. Whatever it is, could you have it as, could it be a command module? Yeah. How would a command module work? It would direct, be useful for directing infantry operations or the squads of infantry or mechs or even other vehicles. So just like you've got your ships that can do that, you need similar things for your land forces as well.
But being a mobile tactical center, do you think that falls under military, or could that also be falling under because Graycat don't do military stuff?
No. If it's tactical, I would expect it to be military, and that's...
So I'm now worried, and this is why I'm worried.
Yep, because Graycat don't do that. But
yeah, just and do I have to listen to you and Paul complain about it for the next 12 months?
Yep,
really
you probably will. If it is a Graycat military vehicle, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That gives us a bit of food for thought.
Now,
yeah, the guy there does have a gun, but we've actually found, I can't remember which one it was, but one of these disproves that theory that they're just essentially people that stand in the background. We used to think
we're just there to show scale.
Yeah, because we can't remember which one it was, but there was one image that we were going through, and it actually has a guy with a gun, and that ship now has got nothing to do with a gun. And there was also the one where we thought there was two people in the background of the Fortune, but it's only a one-person ship. Going through the photos now, just trying to find the one that
Now, if it was a Graycat military vehicle, what
about this one? Hang on, just real quick. What about this one? What if it's a collab? Potentially. So what about this? Is that
well, it's a wheeled vehicle rather than track, but
yeah, but what I mean is, like, could that be the command center?
Possible. Anything's possible. It's when you've just got silhouette, you're going on, you're taking as much rope as you can, tying half a dozen nooses and putting them around your neck. I think you just got to go on the information you know.
Yeah.
Now,
I don't think that that's a command thing. You wouldn't. I mean, I'll defer to any of the military guys here, but I don't think you would want guns on a strategic target.
I've heard a few people say, both in the military and medical field, that this is more this one. They think it's going to be a medical variant that does like a Spartan variant that essentially does medical. So think of it like a military Ursa. But I did want to throw it out there because we're talking about vehicles, and there's only really 2 on the silhouette video, so I thought we'd just have a look at it. But
yeah,
anything's possible, as Algared said.
It'd be nice. It'd be nice to see a half-tracky type one with tracks at the back and wheels or something at the front. But
someone wants a pan. Well, we actually talked about that, didn't we? Make one like the what's it called? The pan. German one from World War II.
Yeah, it was a little kilogram, which was a little.
No. The main one that they.
One.
The main one that they.
Was the Hanamag.
Oh my God, you're saying everyone except the one I want you to say.
Well, that's because I'm going through the ones I recall and remember.
The main one that they had put in all the movies and everything, and you could put a flak 88 on it, or you could put a You had the anti-air one that they could put on it as well.
It was just their tractor.
Wasn't it just called the half track or something like that?
Well, that's what the Americans called it. What do you think a Hanamag is? German half track.
Oh, I don't remember. Man, I can't. I know the name of it off the top of my head. Maybe it's just called the half track then. Maybe I'm forgetting what it's called. But anyway, I digress. Right.
Half tracks are basically tracked vehicle wheels at the back and or tracks at the back and wheels at the front. Yeah. Americans had them. Germans had them. Germans basically with the Hanamag. That was the brand name, and the rest of it I can't remember the actual designation, but yeah.
Execute. Somebody sent you that clip that you were looking for in DMs.
Yeah, they did. Thank you. I just found it. Let's see if we can have a listen. So this is a new vehicle found in. Wait, I've got to flick it over. I'm gonna have to turn the volume up again.
Yeah, 251. Thank you, Akil.
What is with this thing? Every time I dial it up, as soon as it hits the end, it instantly mutes. All right. Here we go. Playing it now. Wait, have I moved it? Yeah, I have moved it. All right, here we go. Hopefully you guys can hear it. If you can't hear it, just complain and I'll play it again.
Graycat has taken its tough-as-nails know-how and combined it with mil-spec hardware to bring their latest vehicle to the front lines with the MTC Mobile Tactical Center.
Oh, shit. That just all my dreaded dreams come true. I'm gonna have to listen to Algared and Paul bitch for the next one. Oh no! Why did you do this, CRG? Play it one more time.
Taken its tough as nails know-how and combined it with mil-spec hardware to bring their latest vehicle to the front lines with the MTC Mobile Tactical Center.
Yeah, I think that's a change of shift for Graycat.
And as I've been going to say several times, and you kept asking me to be quiet while you were thinking or doing stuff.
Yeah,
I could see a Graycat vehicle being adopted by the military and used.
Okay, well, they want
Graycat.
Want me to replay it and turn it up, but to turn it up, I've got to turn up you. So just be quiet for this, and I'll play it 2 more times for him. Okay, real quick.
Graycat has taken its tough as nails know-how and combined it with mil-spec hardware to bring their latest vehicle to the front lines with the MTC Mobile Tactical Center. Graycat has taken its tough as nails know-how and combined it with mil-spec hardware to bring their latest vehicle to the front lines with the MTC Mobile Tactical Center.
All right, you're good now, Algared. I think that was the, what was it called? The Graycat Cav or something like that. I think they've renamed it to this. I could be wrong, but the Cav also had missiles on it in the file. So maybe there are 2 variants. There's a Graycat this, and there's a Graycat Cav. Remember, as I said, like, one of the things you and I have been recognizing is when they make something new now, it just doesn't come on its own. It tends to come with a couple of variants straight off the bat. That's why we're expecting to see Golem variants and stuff like that. And I think this will be no different. We'll see a tactical variant, probably the missile variant. If anything, Algared, what does this remind you of? This is the Ursa / G12 all over again. It is... I don't know, Lemming, I'll put that off to you too. Does that sound like a G12 medium kind of size Ursus looking type of vehicle to you, or off the mark there, Lemming?
I don't see how it could be that small. Like if there's going to be like people moving around inside of it, it would have to be at least Nova size.
So let me ask this again: would that? And I'm not saying this is it, but if it was this, I'd see that as a medium.
That's Ursa sized.
Yeah.
The other one is a larger scale.
And where did you get the people walking around in that thing from? Is that just what you're visualizing, or I didn't hear anything in the audio?
Right. They didn't say that, but I mean, you're not going to like load into a storm type entrance and just sit there. I mean,
when I think tactical, I think like recon, command and control, radar. They're all type of tactical mil spec assets. Like they mentioned mil spec, so even though it says mil spec, that doesn't necessarily mean it's military. By the way, because one of the things Essay told me a lot was, they'll say, "Oh, it's military spec," and he will laugh because military spec means it's absolute horseshit. And I'm pretty sure he'll say that in chat in a minute and back me up. Like, mil spec doesn't always mean it's a good thing. So yeah. So wait, hang on. Mil spec could be a forward observer. The Cav could be the artillery to speak. SA says a TOC is a large, so this could be a larger vehicle or a possible ship. Yeah, a Graycat ship. Wouldn't rule it out.
Based on the soundbite and even that just clarified what I was thinking in terms of if it's a Graycat command control vehicle, I could see the military going to Graycat and taking one of their vehicles and use it and taking it and moving it to, jury rigging it or putting it into military service. Because one of the things about Graycat is they are over-engineered for safety. It's like modern military vehicles are made to protect the crew.
Someone said it looks like this, an MLRS. I could see that as a variant of that. I could. But I'll refer that back to the military people that are way wiser than I am when it comes to these things. Yeah, I could see it going multiple ways there. I'm really interested. The only thing caveat I'll put out there about the ship, is that we have only got vehicles from Graycat up until this point. They are kind of, at the moment, you would agree with me on that, Algared. They are a vehicle manufacturer until things change, obviously, so they could. So I think that puts it in the less likely column for me. But again, we've also talked about collabs a lot too, haven't we? We want to see more of those. We just haven't seen them.
And
yeah,
as I keep going to say, and keep getting cut off, Graycat is known for being over-engineered for crew safety. And so I could see the military coming along and taking their vehicle, taking their chassis, doing a Gemini type setup, putting their scanners and things on a Graycat mining vehicle or a Graycat transport vehicle. And that would not be unheard of. It wouldn't be beyond the pale for Graycat to move into that area. For their ships or their vehicle being for the safety of a crew. So I don't think it's beyond the pale. If they start doing tanks and going down that line, then I'd start to have grievances. But a command control vehicle, something that's doing that, I can see it fitting with Graycat.
Yeah, I would agree with Algared here. I think that it feels like this is one of those, like, the military saw an opportunity to utilize one of their chassis, not Graycat like getting a contract to build a military vehicle.
So I hope that's what it's like, but
yeah.
Wait and see.
Yeah.
But regarding what it is, I think it's something we haven't seen yet. I don't think it's any of those silhouettes.
I could see it being a small silhouette.
Me too.
Because that would a 2-man vehicle almost
lines up with
that size with tracks instead of wheels. But yeah,
lines up with their other vehicles that they've done. Look at all the ones they've had. They've even got the UTV that they haven't released. The STV. They've got the Rock DS, and they've got the PTV. Yeah. They're all little small buggy-like vehicles, and that looks small and buggy-like. Even if it's got tracks or wheels or whatever, it falls. It's their mantra.
And so I can see people talking about the M113 and saying, "Hey, it's still used as a command vehicle." So I know it's old. I know they're being phased out. But yeah. So something along that line.
Right.
Tango the Australian Bushmasters and stuff as well. So
Tango Shrade says, what is the plans for ATC development? I like when Lorville is that the flight control?
Air traffic control.
Air traffic control. I liked when Lorville at flight path corridors leading to the landing zones. Do you know of any plans to bring something like that back? No, they kind of got rid of a lot of those. I think the closest you're going to get now is, you have the hologram that kind of goes out in front of the Polaris and the 890 jump, stuff like that. I'd like something like that, but going down to the landing zone, so you can like something that tells you where you need to go to. Because the only thing they have at the moment is the lights over Area 18 and stuff like that, and they're just blend in with everything else. They need something like a what do they call it in real life? They call it a that VR thing they have where it's augmented reality. That's kind of what they need. They need like something that comes over your screen and you can kind of apply it and goes land here, or something like that. Like it just to show you where it is that you need to land. And I just make it some kind of hologram, and they can say, oh, it's on your visor. And only the pilot needs to see it. No one else needs to see it. Or they can turn it on if they want to, if they're just in the ship. Something like that.
Yeah, I used to hate the old flight corridors they used to make. That was
very annoying when you just tip the edge of it and it would flip your whole ship around. I've actually had ships crash where it'd flip the ship around and then force it to fly back in the opposite direction, and then it would fly out of it again in a because it was in a corner or something, and then it would try to fly down and crash into a building and kill you. Like it was some weird shit you did back in the beginning. So yeah.
Yep. But yeah, having things to help you see where you're landing or where your landing zone is would be nice.
So Spike 6K mentions on Twitter, I want the Ranger. The Ranger clearly needs tech just for it, and also because of that, it'll be further down the back burner. But also, what does it actually add to the lineup of bikes? So again, those even further. I'd say that's even behind the G12, based on that. Right, Seth,
and I think as we go into some of those environments which are less hospitable for people without suits and stuff, more closed vehicles or enclosed cabs in vehicles are probably more beneficial than bikes. So,
well, again, I think the advantage of the Ranger, it's probably going to be the cheapest bike. Let's be honest. It's probably going to, be a similar size to the Pulse, probably, but it just, not being able to hover has some advantages and disadvantages. Again, like we've said, different levels of tech. That's all good, Lemming. Catch you soon, mate.
So, thanks, Lemming. So, Seth's drug shop Seth's speech shop has a very, to me, speculative question. If the unannounced popular ship variant is the MSR, what variant would you like to see?
So essentially the question is, what would you like to see as of a variant of the MSR? I've not really thought about that, to be honest, but I think when you look at Crusaders' kind of mantra and where they're leading, and kind of the hindsight of time, I think probably e-warfare, funnily enough, is where I'd go with that.
Well, I think the MSR is already geared for that type of thing anyway, because it's got all that computer-based stuff.
So I'm saying though, but like a more combat, kind of you lose the cargo and almost double down on the e-warfare. And you could, it's got that little satellite dish on it, but you kind of. So if the MSR is currently in the middle between hacking and cargo loading, you're going that way. You're leaning way more into the e-warfare, because if you just lean the other way and go into cargo, well, it's every other cargo ship, right? So that's the only other place I think you can kind of take it. Dial up the number of computer servers, bigger guns,
I think,
or go the other way and go stealth.
I think you could even gut your computer section out and turn it into a science module, or a science ship, or a medical ship, or there are lots of variants you could do rather than just going straight cargo.
But I'm trying to keep it within the manufacturer's kind of.
Well, I think that Crusader do kind of have but they could go medical. They could go the science.
They could, but do we have any evidence of that? Do you have any at all from their lore that points to that at all? I'm just asking because I honestly don't know. Do they have anything?
Well, their lore is humanitarian, so science research into medical problems, medical ship, because they're into humanitarian stuff.
I'll give you the medical. I'll give you that. I'll give you medical.
And your medical is a branch off of science, so I can see that.
I would not rule it out, but it is very quickly going down in terms of likelihood.
It is going down the tube of speculative.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at variants,
so
I see variants as being totally different.
He did actually say, "What would you like to see?" So you're essentially saying you'd like to see a science variant.
I'm thinking variant, and I'm thinking what is something totally different from what is it, and what would I take out? I'd take out the computers, and I'd put the science or medical type stuff in there.
Yeah,
that would be a completely different.
Yeah. Well, I'd probably go into a stealth e-warfare type of thing.
Yep.
So I've kind of gone into the more breaking of the law again thing, like they've done, where they've gone in with the Ares and that. But yeah, which is why I think Algared wouldn't like it, because he's really it annoys you what they did with the Ares, isn't it?
Based on the MSR anyway, I tend to think the MSR is in that wheelhouse anyway. It's even in the release, the two characters were going down and stealing tech and hacking and stealing it. So it already has that kind of. It's already in that kind of world. So when I'm thinking variants, I'm going outside of the type of stuff we've seen hinted at it before, but I can go anything I want in the end. But yeah, I suppose that's where I'd go.
Hopefully we do get to see one like that, because I think it is a ship that could use it. As I think the other one that would be in that league as well, you correct me if you think I'm wrong, is the Corsair. Both those ships could use possible variants if they wanted to.
Look, both of those would easily get variants. I haven't heard of a popular or hinted at any popular ship variant. I think usually you'd start to hear something that might indicate what ship's coming or what variant it is, or what's being based as the ship, and there doesn't seem to be anything that hints to an MSR. Could be wrong, but that's just me.
Right, next question.
Wolf Blitzer. Do you think the new RSI fighter will be a concept sale at Invictus launch week?
Is in the
Mantis version. Yeah, but the heavy fighter based on the Mantis frame. Nothing
in the leaks about that at the moment, though. Like none.
Yeah, but it could be a concept sale.
Absolutely. I would not rule that out.
Because that wouldn't necessarily need to be in the leaks.
I'm just talking likelihood, right?
Yeah.
But won't rule it out. But again, likelihood drops. But I think
that would be
quite honestly, it looks like, could be wrong, but I feel like the Mantis would have been a good version of that salvager. But anyway,
look, I think that the heavy fighter version based on the Mantis could be a good ship to have as a concept at Invictus launch week, because it's a military ship.
Really quickly, someone added me on Twitch and said, Puto FX said, any word on the Zeus MR? Zeus MR doesn't have its gameplay, so that'll come in with bounty hunting when that releases. That's literally the hold up. Same thing for the E1, doesn't have its gameplay. So anything where the gameplay is not in the game, that'll hold up the ship. That's simple. I'm sure the MR's done. It's just sitting there waiting for bounty hunting to be released.
Cody Fox 00 says, if I do in fact display this Starlancer build at Invictus, I'm imagining a main room with a max tack and build featured together. Do you think that CIG is hinting that initial base building crafting is coming by the end of the year?
We were told that base building is closer than we think at CitizenCon last year. I think, though, that has changed with the plans from the start of this year, but I would probably, hopefully, expect it for CitizenCon.
Sorry.
Right, you got your mute button?
Yeah,
use your mute button, bro.
I did hit the mute button, but then when I first coughed, I hit it.
Oh, you had to let go of it.
No, I can.
Double clicked. Oh, you've never sounded so sweet.
And I can mute it and unmute it. But when I hit it, I coughed and I hit it a second time, which took it off.
Right. Gotcha. Anything you want to add to that then about the BLD or the building, the base building coming by the end of the year?
No, but we've heard it's coming. It's closer than they thought. Had that changed because of the way things have gone? Anything's possible. As we know from game development and what we've learned from watching numerous games go, you set your plan, and anyone in any job where you're starting something new, you set your plan, you say, this is what we think we're going to be able to do, and then you do what you start to do it, and things may change.
Yeah.
And you just do the best you can with what you've got.
Yep. Right. I think the bot had crashed. Oh no, there we go. It's coming through. It had crashed, but it's back up now.
So Tibbles.
Yeah, go for it.
Since the Retaliator would take roughly 6 to 7 people to crew efficiently, Do you think that CIG will reduce the amount of crew needed? 7 people in a Polaris or 1 in a TWRT Guardian outshine it? Yes, that is a problem.
We've literally said that multiple times.
Yep.
It needs to be reworked because the number of people is ridiculous. They didn't address it when they did the gold pass on it,
which surprised us.
Yeah,
like
quite a lot.
If it was anything that surprised us last year, it was when they were doing that, it was the Retaliator rework not getting crew reduction.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. First time chatter there on Twitch says, Full Metal Jack says, hello mates. Why is the exploration game loop taking so long? Just priority order. Scanning is being worked on. It was meant to come with engineering at the end of last year, so if it comes just behind engineering, it won't be far after. And it's one of the things I'm personally looking forward to. I know Algared's looking forward to it as well, because it's really going to kick off that core gameplay loop of someone has something, someone's going to need an escort to stop it because the bad guy's going to want to take it. And at the moment, you can't complete that because the bad guys can't scan to find you. Once they can find you, we're off to the races. It's going to really kick off what you can do in this game because nobody uses escorts right now. There's no reason for combat. It's almost kind of all made up and the points don't matter. Then all of a sudden, pirates can find you. Oh, shit, we are on, boys and girls, because all of a sudden, all those people that are pirating that want combat, they're not just pirates, they'll also be the escorts. So the level of piracy will actually kind of pick up, but then kind of coming from both sides. I don't have to call it. So the PvP people will be loving it, and
as long as scanning is long range, you only see either the ship, and as you get closer, you see the class of the ship, and then if you can see my ship at long range and say, oh, it's Al and he's got 4 crew and it's blah 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 and everything, I think that'll suck. But if it's at long range with the ship, and as you get closer, you get more and more detail. That is really that would be huge. And that puts ships like the Retaliator into that stealth mode and that sneaky thing, like we've always said, because at long range you see a Retaliator, you go, oh, it's a torpedo bomber. Do I want to risk getting closer and finding out whether it's a transport ship or or do I want to find that other ship that is just a merchantman? So I hope scanning is as detailed as it could be. Headless Hiker. Obviously he lost his horse. Is the merchantman in, or is it just clickbait? No, it's just a joke.
The Wicklobe there behind Algared, he's Banu, and he's a merchant, and he's a man. Banu, merchant, man.
Yep. So we just went with the joke. Dirty Garden Gnome. X, what's inside PC2? Given prices, I finally...
the new one or the old one?
For the new AMD.
The one at
PC2.
Yeah, so the one out in the hall that's out there is my old PC, the one that I was using, and the new one's right here. So essentially, the priority was to get the new one up, and then the old one turns into the streaming PC. But it's on the back burner because I'm waiting for my brother to get shit back to me, and he's just pissing me off.
So that's the white one is the current one.
Yeah. So hang on, I got a photo I sent out. I could probably bring that up on stream so people can see what the hell I'm talking about. This one. So how do I open this? Hang on, give me a second. Open in browser. This. So this, I just took this the other day. So the black one is the one I'm on right now. The white one is the one that's out in the kitchen. And basically, the one on the left is Cerberus, and the one on the right is Guardian. That's what I call them. And obviously, the one on the right looks kind of Origin, so that's going to have blue lights, and the one on the black is black and red, which is, as you know, my colors.
So the black and red one is the new PC, which is the one he's on now, and the second PC is basically the white one is basically the one he had been using, which is going to become a streaming PC.
Yeah, and I basically splurged a little bit and got a second case so they can be the same height. and I'm going to retire my old case and that to my little brother because he's not having a lot of luck with computers. Yeah, so he's in a bit of...
I think the question then becomes, what's in PC1 in terms of CPU, graphics card?
9950X3D, 48 gigabyte of RAM, and 5080.
All right, so hope that helps.
Couple SSDs, 16 terabyte hard drive in both. I got very lucky. I ordered one and they sent me two, so I just put one in each. It cost me an extra, got it for free, so I just put 16 terabyte storage drives in each, and yeah.
So
and Algared's got
on.
He's got the white one as well. So
yeah.
And he's on that right now.
So I am on that one right now. I do like it. It's the extra fans that it can take means that it does end up running a lot cooler than, or running a lot quieter than the old one used to.
Yeah. So that's for anyone that's interested in those cases. That is the I've got the North XL, but they're bifractal. They're called the Fractal North, and this is a slightly bigger variant than ours. It's called the XL. Anyway, and yes, they are real wood on the front.
Yep.
Cool.
Ryback, thank you for that £2 super chat with a question, which was, which one, old Tally or the new Tally?
What?
You'll have to elaborate on that question for me.
Because both tallies have the same issue. They just don't. They have too many people that are required for a ship of its size. Like it's got more people required on it than the Constellation. And the Retaliator is an older ship.
Yep.
Similar age to the Caterpillar. It just needs simplifying a little bit. And for me, Algared, I would have said 3 people. I don't know if you agree with that, but based on the price point of the base of 150, and we now have ships that have 2 people that go up over $200. See where I'm going, right? I would have dropped it from 5 to 3, and you could have possibly shrunk the ship in some areas because of that, or kept the space and expanded into better quality areas.
Yeah, I'd certainly shrunk the crew. I'd have probably kept the crew roughly Connie size, so I'd have probably gone 4 people, and had 2, dorsal and ventral or port starboard type turret control for the turrets on that area. But it does feel it's way over crewed for what it is. So yeah.
Real quick, those 2 cases, by the way, the reason why me and Algared got them was they were heavily well reviewed last year, essentially the case of the year for multiple people. And we, being in Australia, we could actually get them cheaper than a lot of other cases, so it was a win-win. Normally, normally you get a case here and there like $350. These things were under $250, and in the current climate, that's pretty cheap.
I certainly remember that the case I got ended up being, the version I got was certainly cheaper than the other version or other shades that I was looking at, and so it was for the size. So that's why I got it. Execute kept plugging it and saying, "But it's Hurston, but it's Hurston. It's Origin, it's Origin."
It just seemed to suit you to a T. Well, from my perspective, anyway.
But it is a really
if I go back to that photo and you said who owns what computer, one belongs to Algared and one belongs to me. It's really obvious where that would lie. The left one is mine, the right one is yours. And anyone that says the different, they are on crack.
Normally I would have gone the black, but but I do like the white does. They both look great. I like the wood veneer finish, the wood paneling on them. They do look really nice. And I've had a couple of friends see mine and they've gone out and got the same because they thought it was really good.
Yeah.
But my memory is the white one when I was buying it was slightly cheaper. And
there's other little details. I don't know if you can see in the photo, Algared. I actually haven't talked this through with you. All right, but if I zoom, oh wait, I'm on the wrong thing. Gotta go on That's right, zoom in. So if you actually see the buttons there, so the buttons are gold on this one and they're silver on that.
Silver on that one.
This has an orange light, so yours has a blue one, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I think it's a blue. Yep.
Yeah. Kind of cool.
Yeah, nice. There's little touches that they do, but they do look really nice. That wood finished is a really not. It actually makes them look. I don't know.
Anyway, we've really gone off topic here.
We have gone off topic. Spicy Star Citizens 7 says, missed the reasoning behind the Paladin not being flyable at IAE.
Well, we gave two reasons. One of them is it takes 18 months from when it started production. If you look at the concept images when they sold it, it was all hand drawn. There was no 3D stuff at all. And normally when, like, if you look at other stuff, you can tell that they've got 3D influences and stuff like that when they sell it. There was none of that. And the other part was the other part.
We've been told not to expect.
Oh, that was another part. I've been told by a few people not to expect it. I've even had other people go into the look into the files and they told me the same. It was another thing. The one that you brought up during I came up with it, but you called it back up during the video. I can't remember.
It was the white boxing.
Oh yeah, because that was in the monthly report, wasn't it? So only like a month or two ago, they mentioned a bunch of ships leaving white box and grey box. So if white box is the most forward one, and then there's no way, if it was only 2 months ago, there's no way that's going to be ready because we know all ships that go into the pipeline take 18 months. So the earliest you'll see the Paladin, based on the math, if we are correct, would in fact be Invictus next year.
And yes, they could have, fast-tracked. It could have been started a lot earlier. But that 18-month window, as we were led to believe, is not because the team is not working fast in terms of building the assets or doing stuff. It's every department has to go through and check their bits and pieces. And it's not just shipbuilding, it's ship sound, all of those bits and pieces have to be checked and ticked off. And that takes time. And so it's not something you can really fast track or push faster than that. And that was probably, as we thought, as it was printed, it was, why can't you do that fast? Oh, well, everything's kind of this 18 months because of the way they go through the checks and balances. And that kind of puts everything into perspective when you're looking at the release dates.
So Ryback said this in chat, and I don't want to call him out or anything to make him feel bad, but to say this because basically says, based on the leaks, I think this will be a fighter patch. And if it's a fighter patch after all the fighter patches we've gotten all these years, it would be a revolt, mate. Nobody wants more combat shit like that. No. All last year, all those variants were real simple combat or racing. No, they're going. You can tell the way people are motivated. It's going to be different. It's going to be different. If they did just more of the same shit, people would be pulling their hair out. They can't do that anymore because it's been going on for too long. That's what that whole change of direction was about at the start of the year. So if it's a change of direction, they're not going to do what they did before.
And the Gilly mission is a return of the pilot flying skills.
Yeah. That shows a change in direction, does it not? Almost like a return to form.
So and I don't think the Gilly missions weren't necessarily how to be a fighter pilot. It was just how to fly a ship. But most ships, when you were starting, were fighters. So I don't see it necessarily as being fighter patch. But I'd have to agree with X.
Sorry, go ahead.
If it is a patch that is just fighter based, then there'll probably be more of a frustrating grabbing a pitchfork and torches.
I think I know what Ryback means now between the old tally and the new tally. There was a point where the old tally before the one that is now, it was like a brick shit house. It was like a tank.
Yep.
I think that's what he was referring to. Didn't actually see him say it again in chat, but let me.
I didn't see it either.
Yes, it's just written. It would be nice if it could. Yeah, I can't see what he said, but yeah, I'm assuming that's what he means. All right. What are we up to, Algared? We're almost 15 minutes left. We've got a few questions there to go through.
We've just done that one. So as a question for the audience, what combat non-gameplay are you looking forward to? And I guess Al and X opinions sort of matter. Barely. Thanks, SA.
Here you go. You go first.
So,
your camera's really high today, by the way. I don't know if you noticed. You look like a little short old man because you're all...
Yeah, I keep slipping down in my chair.
Oh, lazy bitch. Right, got it.
I think I get tired of stuff.
Yeah, he's just falling asleep. We're boring him.
That's right.
Wake up. I need to get my taser out.
That's right. You keep saying, that'll send me to sleep.
With your health issues at the moment, I don't think I can safely use a taser anymore. But anyway.
No. Well, that might kickstart.
All sprightly all of a sudden. Right.
Yeah. Well, you know.
So what gameplay, non-combat, that are you looking forward to most?
I used to think I was into the mining, but I am actually enjoying salvage. So,
Okay.
But given that that's kind of in, what am I looking forward to that's not in?
Yes, exactly.
I think the scanning and exploration.
It's exactly what I was going to say, scanning. That whole thing I said before about kicking off that gameplay loop, it is so essential. It is really going to fundamentally... I don't think people realize how much it's going to change the game.
Yeah.
Negatively for some people. There are people that just don't want anything to do with pirates or escorts or anything like that, and they just want to play the game alone. That's really where the game's going to change. You're going to have to play with other people.
To go full circle on what you were talking about earlier, in terms of transient jump points. If transient jump points are coming, we've got to be able to scan for them. Which hints that is...
That's true. That makes a lot of sense.
Is coming, and it's a lot closer than we thought.
I think transient jump points are definitely tied to scanning. When you go in the game and you do any profession, right, where you... I would say salvage and mining are probably the two that point most to this, where you've actually got to find stuff. You start to realize just how much extra work needs to be done. Like even doing the stuff in the geo and realizing when people are running them around with the hand tools, they can't scan at all. So they're all doing it visual. We had people in the geo scanning and going, there's some over there, some over there, some over there. And it changed the game. So I can't imagine what it's going to be like when FPS scanning comes in, you know? So scanning is such a big feature of this game. And I, you know, how intricately it's tied to science, all that, like every single thing I can think of in the game, every gameplay somewhere requires scanning. Massive.
Yeah, even if you're just looking at being medical. Yeah. Being a medical doctor and fixing somebody up who's lying in front of you, you need to scan them to find out what's wrong.
Yep.
So even at that level, So
I can't think of it. Like I haven't been able to think of a gameplay that doesn't require scanning, and maybe I'm wrong. I haven't been able to think of one. Yeah. Anyway.
Tying into this question is PudoFX says, "Do you guys think we will see any type of engineering gameplay at Invictus?" Now that is another aspect of gameplay, but I'd like to see, and that engineering gameplay, which also, incidentally, I think ties in with scanning because you want to scan your components and work out exactly what's wrong, but as you're trying to fix them,
So I would have said beforehand, I would have expected to have seen it by now, considering it was meant to come at the end of last year. But with everything we heard at the start of the year, it has been a real change of direction. I think it's coming. You're just going to have to give it some time because obviously things have slowed down a little bit now because they're pushing in different directions. I am very keen for it. I don't think you're asking me a when question. I don't think me or Algared can safely answer that with the changes that were made at the start of this year. If you'd asked me this at CitizenCon, I could answer, say, it's meant to become meant to become by the end of the year. But because everything's gone up in the air, it just makes it really hard to answer that now. But all I can say is I'm looking forward to it. I think it will add a lot to the game, just like I said with scanning, because I think one of the reasons they're coming at the same time is you scan the components to tell you what's wrong with it. Like literally.
And that ties in with combat because it also means time to kill goes up.
Yep.
If you're fixing things and I think, and I liked.
I would
one of the things
say
they talked about.
For me, they're going to change the game more this year than base building.
Oh yeah,
They're fundamentally way more like base building. Don't get me wrong, is pretty cool, but I'll take the scanning because that's going to give more gameplay. And engineering, that'll go a shit ton of gameplay as well. And not only that, you can see how engineering leads into the base building because they've talked about the repairing it. We've seen the essentially components for buildings, the way power and all that works. So they are all literally integrated across ships, buildings, vehicles.
The other thing that engineering brings in, which we've talked about, is being able to repair a unit that's completely dead.
Yep.
So when we first saw them talk about it, it was, the system's completely dead. We're done.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get to a point where you can actually repair that damaged component, that's no longer working, you could actually bring a dead ship back to life. That's if it's a soft dead ship, that's huge. You crash a ship at soft dead, you don't now just leave it, you repair it, and that's So I'm looking forward to that type of stuff as well. So hence why I said related to the above question. Last two questions from Citizen Donkey 3 says said stealth MSR. How would you do that? Nix and Jeffrey's tubes to make the cross section thinner. So take out the Jeffrey's tubes to make it thinner. Stealth components all around, or something else.
Well, we know that what's the stealth ship at the moment? The Terrapin, I guess you could say, is the Terrapin. So it lowers all its heat signatures and stuff like that. It decreases its radar signature and stuff like that. So yes, stealth components could be a part of it, but also like just things that lower your signature, bring it way down. So you're essentially invisible to radar, right? You could put it all in a black paint, so it's harder to see. We know what was the Aegis ships, Algared? What was the thing about them? They had a radar reflective paint thing going on.
Was it the Ghost that had the radar paint on it?
No. I don't know about the Ghost, but I just remember the Aegis ones because it was the Retaliator, the Saber, and I think one of the other ones, and they had a special
supposedly
paint.
Had a skin that was
black and red. No, it's just the default. The black and red stuff that they had was meant to be. It might have been the Eclipse. Was meant to have this some kind of stealth paint, and I read it years ago.
The Eclipse certainly is supposed to be a stealth ship.
Yeah,
as well. So
So again, you could kind of roll that into the MSR, and then almost like even keep some of the features that it's got right now. So think of the Herald, where it does the data running. So you could just lean into it as more of a stealth data ship. And also the other version that would work with stealth, if you literally took what the MSR is right now and stealthed it up, you could also do smuggling with it as well. So a stealth version of the MSR actually makes a lot of sense now I'm thinking about it. But anyway.
Here's a thought for making the MSR stealth. Is kind of giving it the Terrapin treatment, like you said, but you use the Jeffrey tubes to do that. So the Jeffrey tubes become your heat sink, where your heat gets stored.
Yeah.
So you can actually close those off, so your heat's not exiting the ship and making the ship glow. And then after a time, you have to open up and purge. Purge for heat.
Yeah. And I think I need to clarify about the smuggling part, because the MSR itself is a smuggler, but it's more of a like once you get caught, you hide the contraband. I'm talking more about one where they never find you smuggling ship. A bit more like the Retaliator. So Retaliator can do the smuggling as well. So a deception, I think is the word you and I used, wasn't it? Deception smuggler. That's what I call it. So
Oh, it's a torpedo ship. We'll leave that alone. I'll put my car.
Yeah, that's it.
Anyway. So and last but not least, Carsten Kriog. Just Carsten.
You missed one there. Did we do that one here? Oh no, we did do that one, didn't we? By Pedo FX, we did that one.
Yep.
It wasn't ticked. Okay, my bad. I'll tick
it. We did do that one. Sorry.
Yeah, my bad.
Carsten says, did CIG change its mind about the Ironclad, flying it from a bridge as well as the side module ship?
Did the CIG change their mind about the Ironclad flying? No, it does fly from the side from the command module. if you think about it, the one above that kind of looks like the bridge, that's really to control the tractor beams to load and unload the cargo. Think almost like a sky crane, right? That's what it's to load it in and out. There's a couple more questions there up there, Algared, from about 9:21 a.m. There's 4 there. Did we do those?
So yeah, we missed those.
Yeah.
Sorry. So Marco Polo says, what if when the BMM is ready to come out in game, CIG add it to the Wacklow Big Ship surprise pool? Given the way the original BMM idea was that it was Banu family ships that were passed down, so humans getting hold of them was rare. That aspect of the lore has changed, A, because they changed the way the Sulu work, B, because so many people have Banu, they had to kind of work out, okay, what it is. I tend to think the Banu merchantman is the export variant that we have.
Yeah.
So could there be a Banu family ship or an export version that he sells? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No, I agree with that as well. I think from what we're kind of seeing about Wicklow, he's here to stay for a while, and they're probably going to expand him quite extensively because it's a very simple way for us to earn points. And then if there's a pool of things you can buy, it essentially it is for everyone. I think we kind of said words to this effect earlier.
Yep. And the fact that there's going to be bases all over the place for him, it's just going to be Wicklow's Emporium, you know, a Wicklow franchise opening near you, you know, that type of thing. Yeah. Broken Bad says, Breaking Bad says, do you know what Roblox is? Yes. It's a game. Don't like it.
It's more for kids, but I can see the appeal. I think the problem with Roblox is it probably exploits the people that play it, make them more money, and that's why a lot of companies like that shit, because they can exploit the people playing their crap and basically make
exploit
money.
Little kids to get their mum's credit card. Yes.
No, not the credit card. The kids can actually program in it, you see, and they can make games within the game. Then Roblox sell that, and they get 66% of the profit, and the kids get 33% or something like that. I'd have to go back and check.
Bastards.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. So
yeah, I've got numerous students who use it. I just don't like it, but usually probably because the students use it and play it. I don't actually look at it because you don't want to run into your students. I know that sounds weird and horrible, but yeah. Jay Grizz, why do you think the S10, S12 torpedoes would be anything other than size of torpedoes that the Javelin torps and the size 10 being the Polaris? They can be.
Well, again, it's like we said when we talked about the Guardian MX. They could literally just be for the Polaris, but there is actually an audio file that I haven't listened to that actually has the MX in it as well. But again, once you put the size 10 torpedoes up on it, and you know that they talk about heavy ordnance, it's like Algared said and the military people said, missiles, just as they go up in size, eventually turn into torpedoes. So if it's heavy, that would be down the fat end, not the light end, would it not? So therefore, it's more likely to be the torpedoes.
The smallest torpedoes we've got are size 5.
So if they're heavy torpedoes,
missile we got a size 4.
Yeah, and so what is it? Size 12 is the largest torpedo.
I think so. Yeah.
So therefore, 10's
present.
Again, 10 on a Guardian fits. And again, those little mount things in the picture, I just can't unsee those. They literally look like. I think that's why they took them off, because if they had the torpedoes on there, it would have been really clearly obvious that it was a torpedo Guardian. I think that's why they took them off. Just too obvious otherwise.
Yeah.
All right. Is that everything, Aaron?
No, we've got one last question from SA, which was, should Beam Saber get his vision checked? No.
Well, at the time we said yes, but I'll agree with Algared. No, we are very good looking.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. We are the sexiest men alive.
When they said, why are we so good looking?
Yeah.
I just said because we are.
Right. So we're going to be rating our fellow Inforunner, Polio. He is currently, looks like he's talking about his new computer. So we're going to raid him. Ooh. So Twitch, I'm going to set up the raid now for you. You can go over there. YouTube, when we finish with you, we'll be redirecting you over there as well. So what do we want to ask Paul today? Is he looking forward to streaming with me next week? That's right. What we're going to ask him.
Are you looking to streaming with Execute
next week? Yep. Yep. He looks really yellow.
Maybe he'll make you go on to his stream.
Well, yeah, I'd happily do that if that's what he wants. I definitely came back to that. Oh, he's building a PC. He's building a PC. He's building a PC.
He's building a PC.
Oh, wow.
He's showing the boxes. It's literally an unboxing. Right. That's a box of the unboxing.
All right, so let's raid him, and we'll see you shortly. So Twitch, say goodbye to YouTube. YouTube, say goodbye to Twitch. Have a good week. Twitch, bye-bye.
Bye, Twitch.
And they're off. All right, now I'm going to go over here and turn the volume on. You can hear him. He's going to do his dance. You want to see him do the dance. Watch. Because when we raid, he usually
drop his computer parts to do his dance.
Yeah. Definitely tell him to say dance, monkey.
I see an M BIOS.
Nope.
He's not going to dance. Son of a bitch. It's playing the music, though.
Yeah.
No, I have very expensive equipment in my hand.
Dance.
Dancing.
Dance, monkey! No, he won't dance. All right, damn it.
Welcome, everybody.
Oh, now he's going to have to dance.
UX, this week it's me.
I do like his music. We're going to have to get something like that. That's really cool.
He does have nice music.
Yeah, he does. All right. I'm going to have to mute that real quick.
Overly cautious. I think it's fine.
All right. So that's awesome to see that he got his new computer. I'm really happy for him because he's been trying to get that for a while. So really, really happy for him. All right. With that then, to people on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and thank you to everyone that went the extra mile on Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
With that then, he's been Old Man Hurston or Algared.
He's been Execute, and we're out of here. Take care.
See you, citizens.